Sick. Alrighty.
Just started my live stream.
Perfect. Oh, you're doing it live as well.
Yes.
Nice. Cool. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another Warski Live. I'm here, of course, with
Chris Warski. What's up?
and we got VeganGains. What's going on, man?
What's up?
And Ask Yourself. What's up?
Yo.
Yo, how you doing? So are you guys ready for this fucking battle, this throwdown, this screaming match?
You know it, man.
Yeah, this will end in death. Someone will die tonight, so... I mean, we've all agreed on it, though. Someone will die tonight. Yeah, so...
Yeah, I got this new mic just so I can yell over you with clarity.
Oh, wait, hang on, did you watch my video? You obviously watched my video on the roaming millennial debate, right?
I put out a counter video, man. Corrected a few things.
Okay, I'll check it out. But, yeah, did you buy a new mic because I called you friend with shitty mic?
No, it wasn't just you. You don't have that kind of power over my life. Been new equipment for a while.
All right, cool. I'm just joking, though. But
I did chirp you back for your video being too quiet, though.
Yeah, I did render that in a shitty fucking way. So yeah, I fucked up.
See,
It's all good.
What's good? I think there should be good chirping. I wish people would be able to take chirping as well as dish it out. But
yeah,
yeah.
When you VeganGains, when you called me a fucking moron, it was really like yeah, Andy.
I laughed.
Yeah, Andy Warski. Yeah, he's a fucking moron, but yeah, whatever, I'll debate him. I'm like, that was too laid back for me to be angry.
Right.
And I agree.
I was like, I want to be, yeah. I was like, yeah, he makes a point on many things on that. But yeah, so we don't have a moderator today. We were supposed to have someone in, but
We're going to
ended up like not being around. But we ended up talking and saying, if we can do this without yelling over each other and finishing each other's like sentences, basically, it's all good, right? Like if we agree
Yeah,
on
and,
that.
and
Yeah, that's
we
fine.
also just established some agreement that if we nip in on each other, we're just going to, kind of try to listen instead of insisting on, going on and on.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Like if I'm saying something and you guys think that I'm just totally off point, then just, if you really need to snip in, just do it. I will listen. We can all maybe extend each other that courtesy, I hope.
For sure. This is
I
too
mean,
peaceful.
I know,
It's
this
scaring
is-
me.
I think a lot
I
of
feel
people-
like you guys are holding back something and you're waiting to fucking...
No, we just have very comfortable knowledge that there's no good reason to stab something. So, we're pretty ready to talk about it.
Well, how about someone
let's-
trying to murder you?
Yeah, I'm not down with that either. But I don't see how...
No. I'm saying if someone's trying to murder you, then you can stab them, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a pacifist. You think I have to go to Germany to kill Nazis?
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
let's start there, because the one thing I want to get right off the bat is the nutritional aspect, which I think I don't know, the roaming didn't really go with here. The nutritional aspect. I am 100% on board. That's right, people. If you're going to be shocked, whatever. It is very difficult to argue the nutritional aspect of vegetables. I will never argue against that.
Every time I heard someone trying to debate that point,
it's
just like destruction. I'm like, why are you trying? Like you were saying, VeganGains to I'd say Richard, to roaming, where she's talking about like I think salmon or steaks, and you were talking about like the cholesterol level,
Right.
And then she's talking about like the protein, and you're like you can have that out of lentils. Therefore, the cholesterol is bullshit. Why would you ingest that? And I'm like, he's right. Like, so there's no point in going over that. I mean, okay, I have one question for you then. I was a vegan for like 6 months, and I tried doing it as best as possible. And I took the B12 and all the supplements and all this stuff. And then suddenly, a few months in, my like fucking hair started falling out when I was like washing my hair. Then I researched this online, and a few people on some forums had the exact same a reaction or whatever happened. So I got freaked out and started eating eggs and meat again. And then within a few weeks, my hair was fine.
and Vegan Revolutions helped you with that.
Yeah, he
It
did.
Not.
He debated me a few years ago and fucking destroyed me. So then that night, I became a vegan for like 5 months and a half.
So where did he go wrong with
Yeah.
all the hair falling out?
The
Yeah.
hair falling out? Well, that's usually just a symptom of undereating in general. Were you tracking your calories pretty accurately?
Yeah, I used MyFitnessPal,
Okay.
and I was eating. I was still living with this guy, and you saw how much I was eating. I literally ingested as much food as possible because I was also working out hard during that time. And look, I'll tell you one thing. I'll do one thing for people who are wondering. I felt like for the first few months, I felt great. Maybe I started fucking slipping somewhere, and then that's why it started happening. Maybe I was working out too hard and not eating enough to make up for how hard I was working out.
Right.
And I got fucking terrified. I'm like, look, I'm all in with the animal ethics thing. That's what originally put me into it. But like, if I'm gonna have to be dealing with my hair falling out and feeling like weak and all this stuff, like, is it worth it? Was my sort of
Right.
mindset.
Were you following any specific kind of like raw vegan diet mostly, or like raw till four sort of thing?
No. Well, I was doing. Let's see. For like protein was like lentils and beans and all that, and I was taking a vegan protein supplement as well as some bars and stuff. Eating a shit ton of vegetables, a lot of oatmeal in the morning.
So it wasn't like raw specifically, like mostly raw
no.
diet. Okay,
No,
then I'd
no.
probably. I've heard a few people complain about this, but then once they up their fat intake, they were perfectly fine. I've seen a few vegans follow like a really low fat diet, like 10% or less of calories coming from fat, and then once they just up their fat intake to like 20 or 30%, they were getting really dry, wrinkly skin. Then their skin smoothed out, and their hair like got thicker and wasn't falling out and stuff. So I think, if anything, it's either you weren't eating enough calories from fat or just calories total.
Where do you get the fat? Because if this is all from the meat and the cholesterol that we ingest, where are you getting that from?
Like avocados, coconuts, I eat like nuts, seeds. I generally recommend avoiding oils, but if it's between not getting enough fat intake and eating a little bit of oil, like frying some plantains in coconut oil, then I'd say have a bit of oil. But yeah, nuts and seeds, like just get a bunch of hemp seeds, sprinkle it on your oatmeal. You get a lot of good fats.
Yeah, see, I legitimately tried my fucking best, and I was thinking about it for like a month, and I'm like, this is just too much for me. Like I'm just not having. I felt like, here's the problem. I felt like my entire day was constantly thinking about, okay, what do I eat now and this, and oh shit, now I'm hungry, and I was shitting like fucking 5 times a day, and I was like, okay, because it just like flowed right through me, and all the fiber and all that stuff too, and it just seemed so inconvenient and so hard to maintain, especially when I was like at work and stuff. I'm like, I would have to keep like food in my pockets just to eat and not feel like I'm dying. Dude, who's Mr. Crank?
Yeah, who keeps joining this call?
I don't know.
Did I?
No, double check.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, yo, did I fucking
Nope, just tweet it out.
tweet out the
Like Rags
Yo,
tweeted out.
So Andy, you are not, well, actually Chris too, I guess, but not
Yes.
really Andy because you tried going vegan. You're not actually of the opinion that you can't be healthy on a vegan diet. You just think that you had a hard time.
I just think it's like, especially with how busy I am now. And by the way, Tuesday Pritchard, what's going on? Thank you very much for the $5. I found that it was like I was way more stressed out about everything by like having to shop and like figure out absolutely everything I had to do. My time started running out. I was constantly hungry, and I found I was really like, like even if there's milk powder in it, I wouldn't touch it. So I'd be at like, parties or out with friends and this and that. And I'm like starving while I'm out there and everyone's eating pizza and chips or whatever. And I'm just like, I'm going to fucking dwindle if I keep doing this. I found that the convenience factor was probably the biggest fucking obstacle to just maintain. And also, like, I was eating like I think 9 meals a day constantly, and I still didn't feel full.
Okay, just to throw that back before you get back to the health, but are you of the opinion that you can't be healthy on a vegan diet, or you know that you can?
All right, sorry, yeah, you can be healthy.
And you personally, Andy Warski, could be healthy on it.
Oh, me personally. I think for the first few months I was doing a good job and I felt okay. I felt pretty good, but I don't know. I don't know because I didn't keep doing it. Maybe if I had Richard's advice or whatever and I did what he's saying, maybe it would have worked out better. But like again, the convenience factor was so rough, and I'm spending 60% of my time thinking about food and eating food and shitting.
Yeah, well, I don't want to speak for Richard, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he would be willing to help you plan an easy, manageable vegan diet if you're wanting to move in that direction.
See, but here's where my aspects or my idea and where we could start like debating the animal cruelty aspect, and because believe me, I got enough pictures of dead animals and murdered, like abused animals, and that's engraved in my brain, and I was very pro, like, holy shit, this is horrible, why do we do this? And the amount of work just to become vegan, and like just the first month was rough, and then I liked it, and then I hated it, and then I quit it. And I'm not sure if, like, I don't understand how I would even begin to even go into that direction anymore. And I found the convenience of just eating a steak and getting everything like absolutely in one shot it sort of overrides my feelings on animals dying.
Right. So you're saying you are sympathetic to, the animal agriculture industry and the cruelty, but not to the extent where you'd be able to sacrifice like a huge amount of convenience from your life.
Yeah, see, that's my thing. Andy tested me on this too. It's just like, if you put a cow in front of me, and if I wasn't a farmer doing it that way, and you just had to fucking kill it, or if I worked at a slaughterhouse, I would empathize with that. I'm like, yeah, it would be very, very difficult, and it would pay a toll on my psychological well-being. It does for people who work in slaughterhouses. I already know that. Now, the part is, I separate myself from that. I can empathize, but I am forced to separate myself from that because I am a meat eater. It is out of necessity because, again, you put anyone just in front of violence like that, it's going to take a toll on you. And that's the part I agree on. So more so, I'd be talking about, is there, in your guys' opinion, and this is the touchier subject, is there a humane way of doing it that you guys see viable for meat eaters, or are you guys just like, no?
Do you want me to go first? Well, the thing is, I think the most accurate figure is 56 billion animals per year are being slaughtered, and that's not actually including fish or any oceanic life, because it's measured in pounds. And with that considered, you're talking about numbers in the trillions of animals that are killed. Like, is there a way to murder several trillions of animals each year humanely? And then when you look at it in that sort of context, especially, like, just the sheer quantity of animals, no, like, you can't do it humanely. And if you're going to make the argument, okay, well, we should only kill a few... Who the fuck is that?
You guys must have given out the hang.
Okay,
that's great. Okay, like, if you're going to make the argument, okay, well, maybe we should only kill a few million animals. Oh, Jesus!
Fucking piece of shit.
Yeah.
I actually.
You guys must have shared the link
Yeah.
somewhere. How do these people have the link? Was this your plan? You're like, we won't know how to answer the points, so we're going to give away the channel.
Listen, no, put a black box over the URL. Put a box over the URL so people can't find it.
Jeez. There we go. Just close it. Fuck Andy.
Oh, is that what's happening, Richard? Is the URL visible on your live stream?
Oh shit! I think so.
You
fucking
Rick,
that's why I knew it. Fuck this. No,
people have got screenshots of it now. They're gonna keep.
Sorry about that.
Yo. Do you guys want to reboot with a fresh thing? Because that's probably gonna keep happening.
Yeah, I guess that's gonna be a fucking must on this, right?
Okay, well, there's a side where the vegan team truly did fuck up.
Yeah,
so
my bad.
let's give it a reboot.
This is
Great argument.
And by the way, Jason, thank you for the $10, and Luke Medler, thank you for the $5. We're going to redo this, and hopefully, some vegans be careful this time. No, I'm just kidding, man. All right, 1 second.
Okay.
All right, so I will.
God damn.
Just sign off, set it up again, and Richard will shoot me the link.
Cool.
Okay, perfect.
Cool.
I'll
Okay.
Remember where you were in your point.
Yeah, cool. Peace.
Okay. Bye.
All right. Sorry about that, everyone. Yeah, the link was visible on my screen. I guess I'll just answer any comments. Somebody donated €2 in the super chat. Sammy Khan, thank you very much for your donation. Andy, you my nigga. All right, well, don't know why I'm not your nigga. They're just gonna link me the new hangout over on Twitter, so just wait a second. For some reason, I can't bring my webcam up. I don't know why.
Oh, hey, what's up?
Not much. So, you found the link from my stream?
Oh, God. Oh, God.
Hey, Richard.
Okay. What?
Oh, shit, oh, God, it's laggy. Okay, it's like behind. So.
Lucy.
Hmm?
Lucy wanted to eat it, so I grabbed the snake. It was a baby snake, but I put it back in the yard.
Okay.
I hope it was a wild snake and I didn't throw it to his death.
Oh, they didn't set up a new one.
Little stink stink?
Just reading through some of the comments here. Is the debate still on? Yeah, they're just setting up a new hangout because everyone could see the link on my stream. It's not magnifying the photo when I speak because that's like I'm in the hangout. Okay, there's my webcam. I don't know why it didn't bother to show before. Hello, everyone. Are You Kidding? Just donated $5. Thank you very much, guys. And I actually did an advertisement for Are You Kidding on my Roaming Millennial video. So check out Are You Kidding YouTube channel. They're really funny dudes. I actually really like their skits or their you know, public pranks. They're really funny. So check out Are You Kidding YouTube channel. Okay, I just got the new link.
I'm just gonna say, oh, hey, Richard.
Yo.
How you doing, bud?
There we go.
Yeah,
All right.
there. Okay, cool. All right.
All right, make sure we don't give the link.
Maybe at the end.
Okay, Rags did it the other time last week.
I'll send this over to Isaac.
Yeah. We're live, by the way, just to let you know.
We're live.
Yeah, it's cool.
Cool.
Just in case he started like busting out some racial slurs out of nowhere, and we're like, yo, hang on, man, hang on.
Reset the stream. We gotta delete it now. Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
All right, guys. Thank you very much for donating in my super chat. Lazali Jones, thank you for the $2 donation. I'm not going to be able to read the super chat while the debate's going on, just to warn you guys.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
Yes,
we can.
yes.
We're live, bud.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Oh, okay. I didn't even know.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna update to people as well watching. The super chat in this one is going to be very difficult to keep up with, like Richard said.
While we're talking.
Yeah, because we're going to be debating back and forth, and if we keep interrupting, if you want to, oh my God, what happened?
You joined.
Really? What?
I'm looking at Richard's stream. Are you? It's because you're using OBS. It's probably coming up on the. It's probably visible on your screen.
No, it's not.
Whatever.
Really?
I'll just keep ejecting people.
All right, Chris is
It's
the
not.
gonna
I made
eject
sure it's not.
Okay.
I'm
okay,
gonna
my
eject
bad.
them. Don't worry. Don't worry.
Wait.
It's not that somehow we're still using the same URL, is it?
Yeah.
yeah, imagine. Like, well, Andy is a fucking moron. I'm just gonna make
Technical.
sure that I didn't tweet out like this.
No, you're good.
No, that was good. That's good.
That's really
All
weird.
right.
I made sure that the thing isn't visible on my OBS.
Yeah, totally. I'll
It's all right. I'll just boot people the fuck out.
All right.
All right. Well, let's hope it doesn't get overrun.
Yeah.
All right,
Exactly.
sounds good. Sounds
Yeah.
good.
Zombie horde of retards or something.
Yeah.
Who
Really.
was talking when we left?
It was Richard.
I believe it was Richard, and he was talking about the
Ethics, and I want to
yeah.
throw in after him actually on that.
Go for it.
Right. So I was just talking about how, like, you're talking about trillions of animals that are being murdered each year, and if you're going to end up arguing, okay, so we should kill less animals, you're going to have to bring the kill count so goddamn low that practically the entire Earth would be vegan, and, like, at that point, okay, if we're only going to kill, like, maybe a few thousand or a few million animals each year, is it humane to, is there such thing as humane slaughter? Like, can you think of a way to humanely kill an animal where you wouldn't feel guilty for killing it? I think that would be the question. Like,
If
Yeah.
it were,
Can I just throw in before we go back? Yeah, so I would just say, it wouldn't matter if it were one or if it were a trillion. I mean, if you're going to try to justify doing that to an animal, it needs to be a justification that you would actually accept if it were applicable to you. Now, I understand that in the debate, man, you guys have some cancerous fans. What is this?
that's not our people. You know? I have no idea.
Possible it's Richard. I saw some cancer in his comment section when I posted that video.
God damn it.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, unless you can actually spell out a justification that you would accept if it were applicable to you, then you're creating a double standard. And you seem to have misinterpreted us as saying that all life is equal, or that killing a cow and killing a human is the same thing. That's something that I've consistently opposed since the start of my channel. As far as I know, it's not a position Richard holds either. And it's like, I mean, you're talking about Vegan Revolution, who I got no problem with Vegan Revolution, but he's the kind of person who holds a profoundly different view there.
Meat is good for you. Meat is good for you. Blah, blah, blah.
Oh my God.
can you, like, flat out ban people so they can't return?
Hang
I'm
on.
not sure.
You know what? Let's fucking.
Not sure.
They should
at
have
all.
really put a lock on this. Like, you know, you
Yeah.
could lock it. Yeah, like that's, come on. And that's me
really
thinking of it.
that's really bizarre how you wouldn't be able to just put a lock that people can just find the link and join. That's really weird.
Yeah, because I fucking.
Have some more respect, guys. Seriously.
Okay, wait. Do you maybe want to just retry? Yeah. Okay, let's try this one more fucking time.
Well, wait.
then-
What? I mean, people just keep joining. We should find out how they're joining. How is that possibly happening?
Good. I swear this started as a debate, and now we're like teaming up to find.
Yeah, it's like us
trolls.
against the
Yeah.
We'll
God.
fucking destroy you.
Yeah.
We'll kill you, you motherfuckers. I show no remorse to anyone. No.
Yeah, Richard can get a gun license now. You guys fuck it right out here.
Yeah.
Good, exactly. Oh my God. Okay, you know what? So far, okay. If this happens one more time, let's just do one final reboot, I guess. Okay.
Oh, how about we
Yeah,
go?
okay, there we go.
Yeah.
All right,
Dear
so
God.
okay, so I'm gonna fucking guys, one last time.
Hey guys, how's it going? One last
We'll see you in a second.
I love you guys. Please subscribe.
This is
Please
brutal.
subscribe to me. I really want you to subscribe to my YouTube channel at PewDiePie. Please, please, please subscribe to me.
All right. I don't know how the hell people are figuring out
It was
the link. How are people figuring out the link, dude? Yeah, this is
Hello,
really...
VeganGains.
VeganGains.
So how did you figure out how to join?
VeganGains are my favorite YouTuber.
Okay, he's not gonna answer. Well, that's a shame. Some other... I'll, since we have time now, let's see, Run for Sentient Beings donated $20. Thank you very much for donating. She says, looking forward to the debate. Thanks for inspiring me to go vegan. God, I'm looking forward to the debate too. I don't know how they keep getting the link. My webcam has a tendency to keep freezing. Maurice, also thank you very much, donating $1. Banana Warrior Princess, thank you very much, €2. Jason Penny, say, I eat thick loads of meat. Okay, well, I did actually eat 4 vegan hot dogs yesterday, so I guess technically I do eat thick loads of meat. Danny Joe 2320, thank you very much for donating $5. Just checking the messages here. I'm gonna zoom in just a little bit on my thing here, just so like Facebook messages and shit aren't visible. And I don't know how the hell anyone's getting the link to our debate. Javolta, €10. Thank you very much. Sorry my webcam keeps freezing. This is really fucked up. Sorry, like, this debate is getting delayed and everything. I don't know how all these trolls are getting the link. Xmar5, thank you very much for donating $1. Audrey Raymond, again, thank you very much, donating $2. I really want to hear the debate too. Just waiting for them to send the link. Okay, this is weird. I'm gonna hide my monitor and then go into the chat, and then hopefully no one can see the link. Elfie, thank you very much. $5 donation. He's saying, dude, you showed the link before you made the window full screen. Sorry about that. I didn't realize people could see it. But yeah, I'm going to just black out my monitor and then set it up. This has never been an issue before, so I didn't realize. I guess you have to learn. Banana Warrior Princess, another €5 donation. Thank you very much. Philippe Salvo, thank you very much for the $20 donation. Really appreciate it. And Mel, $3. Thank you very much. Just waiting for them to send the next link. Sentient Sentinel, thank you very much. And again, like, just to warn everyone who's donating in the super chat, I really, really appreciate it. But when the debate gets going again, I can't respond to all the messages in the super chat. Okay, here's the new Hangout. I'm going to black out the monitor. And this should be fine now.
Spencer speaks $5. Thank you. The fact that I asked yourself, you guys fucked up bullshit. Just saying. Okay.
Whatever. It's all cool.
Okay.
All right.
This should be totally fine now. I blacked out my monitor when I set up the thing on my webcam, so, and I'll just send the link to Isaac right now. Sorry about that.
No, man. It's all good.
There's never been a problem for me, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, now I know.
Yeah, it's all good, dude. No worries. And we'll just wait for Ask Yourself. Jesus Christ. Comment section has never been this cancerous.
Yeah. Have cured the cancer now?
Yeah, yes. The cancer has been cured.
Thank God. I wish that social justice were that easy to deal away with.
Yeah, seriously.
Okay, so look, I think that structure-wise here, look, Richard and I will probably both acknowledge that killing is at least potentially justifiable if it's necessary for health or, like, basically physically impossible to live without killing. So I think we probably need to move through the nutrition stuff and get agreement that this is something that is doable and that is not a ridiculously massive undertaking. And then once we're on the same page about that, if we can get on the same page, then it's appropriate to discuss ethics. Because if we don't cover that before ethics, then you guys can keep falling back to that and saying, well, it's, there's just no way to be healthy.
Can I say one thing? Before the stream dropped out, you said something along the lines of, and correct me if I'm wrong, you said something along the lines of, if you're gonna harm an animal, would you do it to yourself? Is that what
No, not quite.
Sorry.
And there's two major misunderstandings in the video that you put out afterwards, after the stream. So one of them is this. I'm not okay, wait, I'll start with the easy one. The easy one is we don't think that cows and humans are identical or have identical value. I've never held that position. That is the kind of position that someone like Vegan Revolution holds, and there is a profound philosophical difference there between someone like him and someone like Richard or I. So if you listen to our stream, for example, I'm not going to go on here, but if you listen to our stream with VR, you'll see I get in it with him on that topic for, maybe 20 minutes or something.
It was hard to deal with him. He was a hard person to deal with. He was just insane. I mean, I know, Richard, you come across as insane. I understand it's for entertainment purposes. I mean, maybe you want to.
That's what I told the cops.
Yeah.
Entertainment purposes.
So let's just stay on point for 1 sec here. So that's one misunderstanding. We don't view all life as equal. We don't view killing a human and a cow as the same thing. And then the other misunderstanding is you characterized my argument as there's no difference between killing a human and a cow. How's that different? And it's a lot more systematic and technical than that. It's if you want to justify doing something to an animal that you wouldn't want done to yourself, then you need to establish a difference present in that animal, which, if present in you, would justify doing it to you. Otherwise, you're saying this difference justifies mistreatment in one context, but not the other.
Okay. The one point on that, and I'm just going to oversimplify it, and you can tell me if it's completely different. On roaming stream, you said, would you eat a human? If not, then why would you eat an animal? Is that a simplified version of what you just said?
It's
you know what? I
very
think I can explain it a little better. What Isaac is basically trying to say is this is a very simplified way of explaining it. But if you were a cow, would you be okay with having that sort of treatment be done to you, where you're brought into the world, you're forced into confined spaces, and then eventually you're just going to be slaughtered for meat? Would you be okay with that sort of treatment?
See, but But here's like to go back to the point I said when you said about the meat of a human and the meat of a cow. The reason I think that's completely different is species. It's our own species. Plus, it's been like said that if you eat humans, it's very unhealthy. It's not a really healthy thing to do. Not saying that eating a cow is better than eating a fucking bowl of lentils. I'm not debating on that.
Yes.
But.
So what you've done there is you put out two differences, right? So the first is species and the first is health, right? So you're saying, okay, so species. If an alien species said, you're not of our species, so we're going to Holocaust you, presumably you wouldn't accept that reasoning, so it would be a double standard to say, something else isn't of our species, so we're going to Holocaust it. And then the other one, well, just let me hit the health, then you can come in for as long as you want. And then with health, I mean, if it were healthy to eat a human, would that justify it ethically? If not, then you can't appeal to health, again, without creating a double standard.
Yeah. So for the health thing, honestly, I completely, I know you mentioned that too. I completely agree with the nutritional facts. In a theoretical world, we could all be vegan and live off that. I will never argue that. That's the one thing I want to credit you guys.
Does Andy agree with that too?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the one thing. Honestly, like if we were to imagine a utopia where everything's balanced and everything, that would be it because we can live off of it. I know I might be moving off topic here and hopefully we get into it later. My thing is the implementation of it, and that goes into several different layers. So let's finish off before
I said about the first point that he wanted you to also answer was, sorry, what was it? It was about, so he said agreed with a nutrition part. But what about the other part? What was that again?
The two justifications that you just put out for treating animals this way and not humans, you're saying it wouldn't be healthy to do it to humans. So, I mean, if it were, it still wouldn't justify it. So health isn't an argument. And then species was the other one. And would you accept
alien
it?
thing.
Yeah, right.
No, I wouldn't, because I would be pissed off and like, holy fuck, we're getting holocausted and this is terrible.
Yes.
But again, if I'm gonna debate any points, throwing in the alien species thing, it's just saying if I were a cow, I would be on your side right now. But I'm a human, so therefore I can't really match that thought process.
Yeah, it's like saying if I were an alien, I'd be on their side right now, but I'm a human, so I'm not. I mean, you can say that if you want. You can say I'm just going to, kind of dogmatically agree with whatever my group wants to do, but you wouldn't accept the exact same logic if it were applied to your group. So it's inconsistent.
Right, like
would you agree that it's inconsistent?
Wait, it's inconsistent. Sorry,
if you would reject species as a justification for Holocaust in one context, but then deploy it in another, surely that's inconsistent, right?
It's inconsistent, but if we're going to talk about something like cows versus dogs, through a human evolution, people have been companions with dogs and have bonded, and we have now we have them in our houses and everything. So we grow up with the knowledge that dog equals a pal and buddy, and then cow equals meat or milk, right? So it's
like, correct me if I'm wrong here, but what it sounds like you're trying to argue is you're sort of arguing from tradition and just social contracts between people.
Yeah.
Like, we have social contracts where basically we've established that it's wrong to kill dogs, pretty much. Like, you can see people even on Facebook, like the Yulin Dog Festival, they just freak the fuck out, even people who eat meat. Like, when we see dogs treated that way, it's horrible, but you're basically saying, it's almost like you're trying to say that these social contracts make certain things ethical.
And I'd just like to nip in there also, and if you wouldn't accept a social contract that, deemed you like of no value, like white people and Asians, fuck them, then you can't
fuck Asians.
deploy
I'm
social.
on that one.
Oh yeah, well, totally. But then you can't deploy social. I'm joking. But then you can't deploy the social contract if you'll reject it in other contexts. And just one other thing, Chris kind of proved my point at the start by starting to talk about the implementation. We should, in my view, we don't have to, but we really should talk about the nutrition and implementation first so that we all get on the same page. Wait, not the nutrition. We are on the same page. You can be healthy. We should probably cover implementation and get to a point that we agree that this isn't physically impossible or even seriously difficult, because otherwise we can talk about ethics all we want, but you can just fall back to, well, it's too hard. So I think we should probably challenge that. I don't think it's too hard, and I don't think most vegans would express the kind of difficulty that you express when talking about going vegan.
All right. Yes. So to counter that would be the implementation. You're saying it would be very easy, but again, we're talking about a person by person, a thing. It's
sorry, one sec. Overall... Not very easy. I'm not saying that. I'm saying sorry to chop in. I'm just saying it wouldn't be. It's not. I mean, I think it's pretty easy, but it wouldn't be absurdly hard. It wouldn't be a real serious challenge.
See the transition.
Not with guidance.
Yeah, well, the transition to get, let's say, Asian people who are fishing right now or who are living off snakes in the woods, or like you wouldn't call someone who's surviving actually by hunting like a person who's purchasing meat and doesn't care about what's happening. You would say, well, there's snakes in their backyard, so they're murdering the snakes, therefore to eat it, therefore to survive. And now globally, to do this, I mean, if we start in the West, I mean, that's one thing, but pure globally, the implementation seems so far away, like hundreds of years away.
And like my thing. So let's say if we started in the West here, I know there's places like India, they've done vegan diets and everything too. I'll fully admit I'm not the generation that's going to be the vegan like you guys are, and you guys have done that. I'm going to accept all the flaws that might come with the high cholesterol, might die earlier. That's just my personal decision, and I accept all that, right? So let's hypothetically say that at least we're able to get a few people in the West here to start doing it. Now, if I may expand globally, like Andy was saying, how would you get the farmer in Thailand who, like, again, kills snakes, or they've grown up that way for generations? That's how they had to do it, because in the West we have we can take the pills, we have access to it, so we can do it here. But how will we get the rest of the world who is not on board, like Japan, who is just unnecessarily whaling, which again I'm against too. They're not supposed to, and they already went and done it. And why raping hold on, let me finish. They're just destroying the Pacific Ocean and taking so much fish and everything. And they're not even giving it a chance to replenish. So obviously that's wrong. My point is, when we get to that global stage, how are we going to convince like people like Asians and that to stop doing that? I don't see the transition.
Okay, well, I just want to say one thing. We can talk about how to encourage other populations in areas where it's difficult. Like, I mean, Eskimos, they are living off, like, fish and all sorts of shit. The food up there is flown in. It costs a whole bunch. It's pretty impractical. But I would say, first of all, neither of you guys are in that situation. So you can't really appeal to that when you're talking about yourself.
True, yes.
No, Andy, you were trying to butt in with something right there. I feel like you maybe were even going to make a vegan point. Were you going to ask him why he was whaling and not the cows?
Why are you fine with whales being killed but not other fucking animals? Why is that animal in particularly not okay?
Yeah, and Chris, one other thing, I noticed that you just mentioned that your problems are, the ocean and the cholesterol. You didn't mention the Holocaust. So, I mean, I tend to think that you're kind of avoiding that a bit in your mind.
Who me? Or
no,
Chris?
me.
I was talking to Chris there.
The Holocaust of the quote-unquote Holocaust of the animals, correct?
Well, but yeah, like by the dictionary definition of Holocaust.
Oh, I thought we're sticking to
I was
animals
just joking.
here.
You're serious about the Jews.
No,
okay.
I'm talking about the animal Holocaust.
Oh, okay. I was like, wait, I feel
we're talking about animals, not the humans. No. Okay, so the question is, why do I have a problem with the whales,
but not
and not here? As a meat eater, there is a population that you can't take because it's like any resource. So if you're taking and pulling from a resource, it's going to destroy it. So I guess my thing is not with the actual act of killing, but it's how much you are taking with it. Now, if you're going to get me on the killing thing, again, I will not be able to argue against that because that is the whole point. and I won't be able to. And that's the part that I fully admit come up short as a meat eater, because I see that as a necessity. My point comes when you have an ecosystem and you are constantly pulling from it. And much in the same way for humans, which is the idea of veganism, there's already too many people on this planet. So what happens when there's too many people and there's not enough resources? So that's what happens with the farming. So anyways, my point is for that is I'm against the killing of the whales and the purging of the ocean, because it's not going to be a renewable source.
So it's environmental. It's not
Yes.
ethical. And I think Richard's probably going to want to hit you pretty hard on that, saying it's necessary, because it's not necessary.
Well, like, first of all, when you're talking about specific animals like whales, I'd argue the reason you have a particular problem with it is more to do with your own lifestyle, because I'm pretty sure you don't eat whale. So it's pretty hard for you to justify in your own mind, like, okay, like, why the hell should we eat a whale? Like, you never eat whale. So I think that this has, like, your opinion on this has more to do with your own behavior. And if you were to, like, talk to Japanese people who actually eat whale, they'll tell you, they'll give you a very similar explanation for why, like, the same sort of explanation that you'd give for eating beef, they'd give you the same sort of explanation for eating whale. Like, they just don't really care. They're not really attached to cows or animals in particular. They like the taste, things like that. They don't really care about their own health. And the other issue with environmentalism, like, the animal agriculture industry is the main cause of deforestation. So if you're going to, like, argue, okay, well, whales are a specific case because you're taking away from the ecosystem, you're taking away from the ecosystem when you're eating just normal meat.
Well, that's my point, though. If I lived over there, I'll eat whale. If I lived up north, I'd eat whale. So I see it the same way. The way I'm looking at it is the population of whales is dropping, and it's not necessary for the survival of this species. I'm looking at it in that sense, as in sustaining an ecosystem,
okay,
not as in eating.
Okay.
Because I would look at that the same way I'd look at a cow over here. I'd separate myself and be like, hey, if I'm eating whale, I'm eating whale, because that's what I have to do to survive. If I'm up north, I'm eating whale. I'd look at it the same way.
Okay, so you're saying, like, this is a little confusing. You're saying that you're fine with eating certain animals as long as it doesn't ultimately lead to the collapse of our own species. So that's like a worry for you with the whole environmental problems with whaling.
Not our own species. I'm saying from the whale species.
Meaning he's saying if there was a whale farm and there were like way more whales and it didn't matter, he'd probably be fine with it.
Then it'd be okay. But that's like attacking an endangered species. I don't want a species to go extinct. My concern is sustainability in an ecosystem. Like, again, it's just taking as needed.
It troubles you more that whales are getting near extinction, but if you're like eating cows, it's more of a replenishable resource.
Correct.
Yeah.
And just to ask you, are you guys already of the opinion that it's not ethical and not justifiable, but you just aren't personally interested in changing? I'm kind of getting that right now.
I'd say me more than Chris, definitely, because Chris brought up a point when I was debating him in the vegan perspective. I was playing devil's advocate. I was trying to explain to him about like you brought up how could you kill an animal and like if it was quick and painless, then that's fine. And my thing was, it's still dead. How soft do you like your murder? If I shot you in the head right now,
yes,
would you be okay with that compared to if I slit your throat?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
So sorry, just to be clear, you are both of the opinion that it's not ethically justifiable or not?
I think it is, and here's why.
You think it is justifiable or is not?
Oh, is.
Okay.
And I'll explain why. And here was my logic when I quit being a vegan. First of all, I explained on the first part of the stream that's now erased that I used to be vegan, and my hair started falling out of after 6 months. And Richard here said I probably didn't have enough fat in my diet. Therefore, I obviously wasn't doing everything 100% right. So I understand that. And then my point was the convenience a factor on it, right? So the convenience factor, I sort of put it parallel with something like using a phone made by a child slave. Now, I love my phone. I don't need a phone, but I love my phone. And I know some kid in Africa had to jump into a fucking mine and dig out some pieces of, and there's some Asian slave just like try to make a phone, and he's like 5, being paid like 5 cents an hour, and probably dies at 20. I've had to be able to justify the suffering of human beings for my own convenience. Now, am I saying that's good and right? And I'm like, fuck yeah, fucking dude in Africa who's 5 years old making my phone? No, of course not. I'm saying it sucks. It's like making my life better for and having to have fucked someone else's life up. That's something we all do when we're on computers and wear clothes and
okay.
slaves.
Can I respond to that?
Yeah.
So this to me sounds like an appeal to futility fallacy. If you're going to cause suffering in one aspect of your life, then it's justified to cause suffering in another aspect. Like, the thing is, virtually every piece of technology you own is going to have some sort of not so fair trade going on. Like coltan, that's the big one from, I think it's Liberia or somewhere where it's most concentrated, or the Congo. Like, the people there are being exploited as fuck, but coltan is in like freaking everything. Phones, laptops, computers, cameras. Like, we need this sort of stuff. Like, this, we're not going to just completely get rid of technology. So you can justify some amount of exploitation in that sort of area of your life. Like, if you're, I think you're a professional YouTuber or whatever, like, you need a phone, a camera, stuff like that. So it might be justified to contribute to that sort of industry, but what the hell does that have to do with what you eat? Nothing.
All right. I have one thing to respond to that. So basically you're saying I need my phone, I need my camera, and the market's already there, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Then if I cared about suffering so much, then why am I not, making an idea for implementation of non-child slaves being the ones who do that? Why don't we get people over, like, what I mean?
The industry is improving.
Yeah. So, but why do we still let it happen? And that's the idea with the implementation of being a vegan, and how the meat industry has been dropping over the years because more people are vegetarian and all that stuff. And that is a slow implementation. And sure, this industry of child slaves, that's dropping, and that's fantastic. But again, the implementation takes a long time, and I believe that a lot of you guys have the perspective that it's going to be easier.
And it does take longer if people refuse to do it. I got something after you, Richard.
Like, we're specific. I thought we were specifically talking about you, though, like why you're not vegan. Like, implementation on a global scale, that's one thing, but like specifically about you, I'm saying that sort of line, that line of reasoning isn't an adequate justification for consuming animals.
And let me hop in there too. You also, I'm assuming that you don't think driving a car is murder, even though transportation reliably kills millions of people per year.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
So,
Again,
so you must acknowledge a categorical separation between causing death indirectly and actually directly murdering something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, may I say also one thing? Like, I know the whole suffering of animals. The amount of meat I eat would be comparable of one cow every couple years. So that one cow fucking sucks he's dead, and it's probably a horrible death, but it's made my everyday existence easier. And I don't see cows on the same level as humans, just like we don't see these kids in the mines doing this, therefore we don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? So one cow's death for my great 2 years, I think, is justifiable.
Yeah, no, okay, so by that same logic, you wouldn't have a problem with someone saying, okay, well, I know some people rape a lot, but I don't rape that often. I mean, look, I take one girl every, few months, just give her a thorough raping, and it sucks to be that girl. I mean, it's probably horrible. It happens in a bad way, right? So you can't really justify something that's... Wait, one sec. You can't justify something that's fundamentally unethical by saying, I don't do much of it.
Yeah, sure.
But I'll hold a comparison. I think raping a human versus killing a cow are two definitely different things.
Yes, but that's the point. It's the logical structure, though, Chris, because it wouldn't matter. You could make it something that's not as bad as raping a cow.
I watched a short film that both of you probably saw. Someone sent it to me where it was like a skit where it's the same thing where some dude's in the kitchen and some dudes came back.
I saw some of that.
Yeah, so basically the whole thing was, oh, he's a consenter. He asked for consent, and the other two dudes are like, what? Really? He asked for consent? But again, I found that ridiculous because, again, raping a human, if you can't separate human and animal, that's where I find the biggest flaw in your argument.
Yeah, but don't you realize that we're not actually analogizing the act of rape with the act of killing an animal? The point is just unjustified action X. If I only do it once in a while, then it's okay. I mean, that logic, you could plug in whatever you want. Killing an animal, raping someone, stealing. It's not that all the actions have to be.
I don't think so, because if I'm taking from a resource, let's say fish, I'm only taking 1 or 2 fish every now and then. That's fine, because the way I look at this is like there is an ecosystem for sustainability. Either way you slice it, the world is an ecosystem. There is death, there is life. Animals eat each other, and it's that constant death, unfortunately, that keeps everything in balance. And pick any ecosystem. You remove wolves from Yellowstone National Park.
You think the ecosystem would collapse if we ate plants?
No, but what would happen then? Because and this is regardless of veganism or eating meat, there's way too many humans on this planet to begin with. So what is going to happen when an ecosystem has too much? There's got to be death. So the way I look at death, and I pose this question to you as well, how do you look at death? Because the way I look at death is it is a necessity as part of an ecosystem that has gone on since the beginning of time. Even before there were humans, animals are eating each other, fish are eating each other. We might have the sentience to be like, hey, don't eat the meat and don't kill them, and you guys are fucking living examples of this, how you can do it. And by the way, Vegan don't know how you have that much muscle on you. Good on you. Yeah. You guys are the living examples of it. Am I that example? No, I fully admit that, but that's because the way I look at death and the way I look at the world is in that balance. And to try and, in my opinion, to try and stop that, I commend you guys, because I'm not the guy who's going to do that.
Wait, and also I have one thing to add about the animal rape thing real quick.
Yeah.
From the point before was, the human rape compared to eating 1 cow every 2 years. Your example would have to match what I said. So it would be if you raped 1 girl, but you got sex every single day for 2 years out of 1 rape.
Okay, well, let's say that's the case. Is it ethical?
No, it's
case in point, right?
But the human aspect is where I can differentiate it, is where it's like...
Yes. Yeah, but sorry, you finish.
No, I was going to say, if you were to say, if I fucked 1 cow and raped 1 cow, like actually fucked it, and actually, I don't even know where I'm going with this. I was just thinking about fucking cows for a second. Sorry.
You're getting lost. I'm equating. I don't think that's a fair point, because to say raping versus killing an animal for a resource for food, I think those are 2 separate things. Even though they follow the same formula, and I understand what you're saying.
Well, that's the point right there.
I would agree with the formula, but I think the example might be too different.
Well, just saying it's too different isn't really an argument, though. I mean, if the logical structure is unnecessary suffering
is.
causing action X that I would never accept if someone wanted to do it to me is ethical if I don't do too much of it. I mean, you're either on board with that kind of reasoning or you're not. You can't deploy it when it's convenient for you.
Hang on. No, see, if we were able to say that rape is equal to eating one cow every 2 years,
then I'd be against it. But it's not rape.
No, but you're saying that I have to follow that line of logic no matter what examples we're putting into it, whenever we're plugging in the variables, and I have to have the same logic. No, I look at everything completely as its own thing, and I make my logic no matter what I'm talking about. So raping a girl, I know would be horrible because I know I'm scarring this female's life. I know it would ruin the rest of her fucking life. It makes me a terrible person. Whereas eating a cow, I don't care about a cow as much as the.
Although we shouldn't rape cows.
Okay, you know what?
I'm not saying we should rape cows.
Again, it sounds like you're saying you're fine with it because you can get away without consequence. Whereas if it were a human, you're breaking social contracts, and because you're part of the human species, you kind of feel like you're more closely connected with the situation.
Yes.
And again, you said that, and that's my whole thing with the human species thing. Like, we are at the top of everything because of our brains. And I know you guys, and I want your opinion on this too. The motor functioning of a cow. I'm not saying they don't have emotions. Animals feel. I completely agree, except for fish. They don't have nerve endings.
No, they do. They do. They have nociceptors, and they can respond to noxious stimuli, so they can feel pain and suffer.
Let's not go down that rabbit hole, though, right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
I'll trust you on that. Trust you on that.
Then, so they have emotional functioning, but when we look at the brain functioning of a human compared to an animal, there is, and I hope you guys can respond because that's the whole point. There is intellectual differences, there are social complexities that are not present, and because of that, that puts us higher in the chain. So because of that hierarchy that needs to be there and is there, to me, that's enough for me to go, I could eat meat.
So, and if an alien said all of that, if an alien said all of those things to you as a human, would you accept that reasoning, or would you expect the whole global human population to fight back against the aliens?
Fight back against the aliens. We'd have to, because they're eating us.
Yeah, so it's not really consistent, is it? Saying, we're more intelligent, we have deeper, we're more intelligent, we have deeper cognition. I mean, if those things don't justify killing us from someone who's equivalently higher in cognition than humans, then why would it work when you're applying it to cows?
See, here. Wait,
let's say that.
I have one big issue with this. I have one big issue. You keep putting comparisons to things that are not comparable, just metaphorical. What if aliens came by? What if you raped a girl once a year? These aren't equals, like equal statements. There is the same line of reason. Exactly, same logical structure. But if we used the same logical structure for absolutely everything that we do in our world, we'd be doing the most retarded shit ever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, you're basically saying that you don't want to acknowledge logic. I mean, if you're hold
on. Can I?
You're separating logic.
Go ahead, and then I have a comment.
Well, yeah, I mean, because what you're basically saying is, look, I don't care if the exact same logic in another situation justifies something I would profoundly oppose. That situation I don't care about. And I mean, that's not really an argument.
Actually, just say one thing about Richard, how you always say fallacies. That's a false equivalency fallacy.
It's not a false equivalence, because
yes, it is.
Well, hold on.
Okay, well, why don't you spell out how it's a false equivalence? Because logic.
My thing is, to your point, if you're making that comparison, one, if aliens are smarter than us, they would fucking ruin us, and there's nothing I can do about that. That's just.
That's not got anything to do with the morality.
We're talking about morality.
But hold on, we're jumping around here because I'm addressing what you said, and you're holding me accountable for the logical line of thinking. And you said it was inconsistent. But I am in still being consistent because if aliens came down and raped us and killed us, well, then we'd have to fight. And I'd be like, well, they're better than us.
No,
yeah.
the argument is whether or not it's moral. and
That's the opposite of consistent. That's
how is that? How
well,
is that?
You're literally saying in one context, higher intelligence and higher cognition justifies murder or a Holocaust, and in another, it doesn't.
I didn't. Whoa, okay, I'm not saying.
Look, it would
I
suck.
don't think you're understanding the
What's
argument.
No, because you're confusing me, buddy.
If higher intelligent beings came on Earth, that's on them to figure out their own morality.
But we're talking about you.
Now I'm the cow, and now I'm the cow, and I'm getting ruined. And that is consistent with what I'm saying because I'm ruining and eating the cow. Now they're eating me.
That's like saying like, okay, yeah, no. Look, do you think that an intelligence? Yeah.
One more thing. Again, there's different contextual factors. If you want to say aliens and rape, it's completely different than what we're talking about here. We're talking about the animals and me eating the meat. So if you want to take aliens and shit, it's still consistent. It's just I'm becoming the cow. You're losing me here. You're losing me there. So if you could get me back on there, because I'm not sure where.
I will. I absolutely will. So do you think that higher cognition? Do you think that higher cognition morally justifies a Holocaust?
Yeah,
that's going to be up to the alien. So, but if we're talking about without aliens,
no, you're not.
Wait a second.
Chris, what do you think?
I know you're going to bring up special needs people. You're going to bring up retarded
fine.
people. That's what
That's
about
fine.
to say. I know you're
Wait a second.
You know I'm going to drop tard bombs. That is coming.
Chris, are you saying might makes right?
Okay, well, let me answer one question at a time. So, first question. To me, saying is there a hierarchy and there's an intelligence level of as humans, and this is intelligence, because if you're going to go there, we're talking about species here. Human eats these. That's the natural order of things, okay? And that's what I'm saying. And because of that, that is what justifies my need to eat a meat, an animal. Now, if that's the moral act of killing and putting calves in, I don't eat veal. I don't agree with that because it's the suffering. That's where I agree with you guys on. And I don't eat that. But if there's a humane way to kill them and we're going to constantly kill them, this is something that's going to happen. I accept that as part of being alive. That is something I am not going to be able to stop within my lifetime.
Okay,
so
Chris,
that's the way I see it.
You're roaming millennialing a bit here. Are you of the impression, do you hold the position that higher intelligence justifies a Holocaust? That is my question to you.
We are at a higher social functioning of our motor skills and our cognition than animals. That's why we have eaten.
Okay, but that's not an answer though. Do you think that higher cognition justifies a Holocaust? Yes or no?
Yes.
Justifies killing animals?
Yes.
Then
Okay,
yes.
Okay, so by that logic, then, okay, would you oppose an alien Holocaust of humans?
Yes. I don't think I'd have a choice.
I would because I'm human.
Guys,
I'm human.
I don't think I
wait.
That is, well, one sec, then you have all the time you want. That is an inconsistent position.
Because I'm not an alien. If I were an alien, yes.
Yes.
I am not an alien, therefore, no. If I were a cow, I would say no to what I'm saying right now, but I am a human, therefore, yes. These are two different...
Yeah, but...
Okay, no.
Chris,
like
a human... Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Like, Andy, you seem to have a really difficult time, like, understanding empathy. Like, the whole point we're trying to drive home here is that if you were in a situation where you were powerless and someone else were going to, like, torture and kill you, like, would you accept, like, do you think that's justified? You'd say no, but then when you're the one perpetrating violence, you're perfectly fine with it. Like,
okay, so, sorry, my empathy does range depending on the situation.
right,
Meaning,
so,
if I saw a human, like some old lady being punched out, I'd be like, what the fuck? If I saw some guy who just raped someone being punched out,
well, we're talking
I would
about
join
me.
in. Well, hang on. So, okay, so that thing, what you just said is what Ask Yourself has been doing the entire time, is giving slight modified examples.
No, like...
And now you don't want to answer that.
You're misunderstanding what he's saying. Like, he's just trying to point out that your argumentation is logically inconsistent. He's not trying to compare humans eating cows to aliens eating people. Like, it's just your argumentation is a lot. Yeah, your argumentation is logically inconsistent.
My empathy, I feel bad, but my empathy does vary depending on what is happening at that moment.
Okay, well, Andy, like, the thing is, if you're going to say that human intelligence justifies slaughtering billions of animals, then if you're saying aliens being intelligent wouldn't justify them slaughtering all of the human species, you're being logically inconsistent. That's all.
Let me nip in, because I also know what you're trying to do here. Is you're saying, well, it would be consistent for the aliens. We're not talking about the aliens. We're talking about you. If you guys would support a Holocaust based on intelligence difference in one context, then reject a Holocaust based on intelligence difference in another, that is an inconsistent position. There's just no two ways about it.
And all right, you know what? I'll just agree with you on that, and I'm fine.
Do you actually agree?
Yeah, because I'm fine with that inconsistency depending on what we're talking about.
Okay, correct me if I'm wrong, because I am getting lost with what you're saying about this inconsistency of the logical. So again, go for it. Go for it. Again, I eat meat because I have a higher brain function than a cow, right? That's the reason why.
Okay.
Well,
now
wait a second. That's not the reason why you eat meat. That's just your moral justification.
That's his rationale he's using.
Yes,
right.
This is the rationale, right? This is the rationale.
I think what Richard's saying is on a deeper level. It's taste pleasure. But just go on. What is it?
Yeah, I'll admit to that. I don't know qualms with that.
Okay, but let's see your attempt to rationalize it, though. So
you
go and say what you're
me,
saying.
because I'm trying to understand what you're saying.
Okay, well, you were the one talking, so just say what you want to say.
Yes, so, okay, I eat the cow. Aliens come and eat me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, I am helpless. I still will have to agree with that because they're bigger than me. Will I fight against it? Yes, because I have a higher intellectual capacity, and the cow can't fight back. I can. So
cow
I'm going
does
to
try
fight
to.
back.
Cow tries to avoid a knife, yeah.
So yeah, okay, yeah, but I'm talking about if aliens are coming down. Given your example,
yes,
I'm going to fight back. Mm-hmm. So I am submitting to the aliens. So just like the cow is submitting to me. So in my eyes, you correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm trying to understand you here. Correct me if I'm wrong. I am following inconsistent. Instead of me being at the top, it's the other guy at the top. So in my eyes, I am following this logic because now I'm the one who's underneath the knife.
Yeah.
So where are you saying my logic is inconsistent?
Well, let's just clear up if it is, because if you support the alien Holocaust, if you are going to say I would not fight back against that, I would be happy to be killed and I would just submit, then that would be consistent. Is that what you're saying, or are you saying that you would fight back?
I'd fight back because I have a higher functioning.
Yeah, so would a cow try to fight back if you try to kill it. So that's not consistent because you're saying...
Well, hold on, but can a cow take up a gun and take up arms and organize humans and have that functioning to be able to organize a mass defensive system?
Yeah, I mean, can a human take up a plasma blaster and build like sky cannons to fight alien ships? We could do the same logic there. The point is, if you would say that higher intelligence morally justifies a Holocaust in one context but not another, then that is not consistent. You're saying this justification works for a Holocaust in one context and it doesn't in another. I don't know how to make it more simple than that. That is a contradiction.
May I just butt in here? Are we still on the alien thing, I'm assuming?
Apparently.
Yeah.
We haven't moved the retards yet.
And by the way, someone just said this is like more confusing than Inception right now. So my defense on that would be, as a human, I'm empathizing as a human, and therefore, when the aliens come down to do the Holocaust, I'm defending myself. Now, if I were an alien, I would be on their side, and since I'm the alien, it's not defense, it's now attack. So that's a split. So I know how I would have to defend myself as a human versus an alien, whereas if I'm an alien attacking, that's a whole different mindset. So there's defense and attack.
Yeah. So okay. Well, I'll let Richard talk.
I think you're getting completely off track here and not really understanding our argument. But what I'm getting at here is you're fine with killing and eating animals because you're just more powerful than them, essentially. Like, might makes right, and you're not breaking any social contracts by doing it. Like, that's basically what I'm hearing. And that doesn't...
And that's
the problem is your line of reasoning is completely inconsistent. Like, first of all, you're not understanding our alien attack analogy. Like, you seem completely...
clearly not.
No, like... The point is...
Pretending it's absurd isn't an argument.
Because to me, there is, again, I just trace back to ecosystems and biology and science here. Because of that higher functioning, this is the way the ecosystem runs, and I accept it.
Okay,
and if an alien said that to you, would you accept it?
If you introduce a higher apex predator, then now that becomes the ecosystem.
But the thing is, you're appealing to the objective structure of the ecosystem, and you're just being like, yeah, well, the most intelligent, most dominant creature will win out.
It's an appeal to nature.
Just before even going there. Okay, well, it's never a good thing to say, yes, I'm appealing to nature. But, no, look, I'm just saying, guys.
Wait, I'm appealing to science, and how is it not good that I understand biologies and ecosystems?
Look, wait, you're trying to act like this is a crazy situation, crazy scenario. There's something unreasonable about the analogy. It follows precisely from what you're saying. If you're saying that higher cognition justifies a Holocaust, then in another context, you're saying, no, it doesn't justify a Holocaust. That is not consistent. If you would object to the aliens doing that to you, but you would support doing that to the cows, that is not consistent.
And by object, you mean if we all had to fight? That's an objection.
You know what?
Well, yeah, I mean, some people will try to weasel and be like, oh yeah, I wouldn't care. I'd let the aliens kill me. But most honest people would be like, yeah, I'd fucking hope we fight back.
Of course,
Chris
doesn't justify a Holocaust.
To help you with understanding this here, don't look at this from the perspective of whether or not you're a human or an alien or a cow. Look at this from the perspective of some god who doesn't want to intervene in things and is just looking in on the situation. Like, if you're going to say that, like, what's your opinion on that in that situation? Like, is it justified for humans to kill cows, and is it justified for aliens to kill humans, just because the one is more intelligent than the other?
Well, if I was a god and I was looking at what's happening, let's say like on Earth, for example, I would have looked at all the animals and see everyone hunting each other, and then just assumed that everything is going that way. In fact, I would probably find it weird when I see a bunch of animals attacking each other, and then a group of animals just eating plants. I mean, obviously, herbivores. Well, it's different. But if I saw this attack, I'd be like, well, those things attack those things, and those things attack those things. This is just another attacking of that. What you're gonna say is that we are more intelligent and we can go above that and think beyond that. And again, we are just accepting, and this is like one of the biggest negative things that vegans can look at us as.
And I accept
is
that.
Accepting the lack the fact that we have to remove our morality to eat meat. That is something that we accept.
That's not a good thing to accept. I mean, you could say, like, look, I understand that anti-rape activists have a problem with this, but we just have to remove our moral aversion to rape in order to get pleasure out of rape. It's like, yeah, that's not an argument. That's just a horrible idea.
But then, again, now we're going to my other point where it's I can separate raping a female to eating a steak.
Okay, we really need to zero in on this, because that is not an argument, okay? If you're saying that an action which causes suffering, which isn't necessary, is in one context justified, and in another context you'd reject it, that is inconsistent. So I'm just using the structure. We could talk about rape. We could talk about something that's not as bad as killing a cow, or something that's worse, and the analogy would still apply.
Then we get back to the whole point. Your analogy, when you include something like rape, context now matters. So while I can see what you're saying with this logical flow of the formula, the tubing of the pipeline you're working with, there are different factors. What you choose to put into that tubing in this formula, you can't just shove rape in there versus eating a cow. There's a lot more contextual factors.
There's a lot of variables. A lot of variables.
No, guys, wait. I can clear this up. Look, the justification that you are offering when we were talking about rape initially is I don't do it that, or sorry, when we were talking about meat originally, saying, you know, if I don't eat that much, right? So the justification in that context, you can just abstract it from the context. The justification is I don't do it that much. If you would reject I don't do it that much in other contexts, you can't deploy it in this one. And if you want to try, whoa, you're trying to say, oh, it's not a double standard, it's totally different context. That's fine. Spell out the difference between the two contexts, which, if present in the other, would make them the same context and therefore justify the action in both by rendering the contexts identical. So, for example, I mean, if you're gonna say it's okay, like let's just go to the cow, right? You're saying it's okay to kill a cow. Let's go with the intelligence justification, because you guys have offered a few. You've talked about health, you've talked about difficulty, you've talked about intelligence. I mean, there's a whole bundle of things. Let's go with intelligence. I mean, if you're saying lower IQ justifies killing one being but not another, then the justification lower IQ per se is being used inconsistently. You're saying it works in one context but not another.
Yes.
So, okay, and I think, Andy, at one point you agreed that was inconsistent. Are you agreeing that that is inconsistent?
I'm agreeing that it is inconsistent, but here's why. Is because if I was consistent with my line of logic with anything I did, so like, for example, let's say what I do to edit a video. I have a logic of how I'm going to edit a video because I know how to use Adobe Premiere. But if I'm going to use a music editing program, I have to now scramble that entire logic and learn how to use this program that I'm trying to use. My logic can't hold from how I edit videos to how I edit a music because it has so many variables that it changes what the thing is.
Yeah, so here
really
here
bad
is
analogy.
exactly where my argument comes in. So what is it about editing music which fundamentally differentiates it from editing video in a way that the skills don't apply? If you could point that out, then it's like, sure, the skills aren't transferable. Oh, it uses a different program with different shortcut keys. There's different windows. I mean, if you can point out that the skills actually aren't transferable, then it wouldn't be a fair analogy to make. But if you're saying the justification you're using is lower intelligence, then you can't, like, I mean, I just don't know how to get any more basic. You can't deploy that in one context and reject it in another. I mean, do you, like,
and just to clarify, clarify for me, the point I'm rejecting it is, where am I going wrong then with this? The point that I'm not agreeing with it is, hello?
So you're asking where you're
going
wrong?
Where am I? I'm still trying to understand this. Where am I going inconsistent then, based off what because I follow the editing thing.
Okay, well, you're saying higher intelligence justifies a Holocaust in one context, but not the other. So that's the inconsistency.
Because of the natural order of things.
And also,
is that wrong to say?
Well,
Chris, I mean, let's say if
that's
sorry,
an appeal to Chris, that's an appeal to nature fallacy, and like I also want to bring up, you keep talking about nature, the natural order of things. Animal agriculture isn't part of the natural order of things. Like agriculture in general just isn't part of the natural order of things.
No.
So I don't know how you can even deploy that excuse. It's natural when nothing about this is natural.
Replace me with the farmer in Nunavut who needs to kill
well,
whale
there's
meat.
no farmers in Nunavut.
Yeah.
They're hunters.
Oh, the hunter in Nunavut, or replace me with the same.
Yeah,
same
well, the thing is, you're not.
That's in the person.
Yeah, that's a
needs
necessity.
to survive to do that.
Yeah, but you're not that person. We would both.
I'm not. Okay, well, I'm not, and I'll give you that. I am not, and I fully admit that I am not that person. So, for this situation, yeah, I agree with you. I am fully surrendering at this point to say yes, I eat meat, and that's the part where you're going to get me on. I already acknowledged. Maybe I didn't acknowledge at the beginning of the show, but that's the point I acknowledged, and Andy got me on that. Yeah, this is what I do. I support that industry. Now, in terms of the other farmer, would you agree that they have to do out of necessity? I think you guys have already said that, but correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, on the specific situation, I mean, I would have to know the exact context, but there are areas where it's necessary, yeah. And Andy just got me on an inconsistency here. So what's you going to say?
Okay, so you just used the word context.
Yeah.
He gave you an example,
yeah.
right? And you're saying, well, that's different. So in our mind, raping a chick is different than eating a steak in context.
Yeah,
Aliens murdering us is different than us defending ourselves in context.
Yeah,
you
but
got the word context, but you seem to not be able to want to use it for your own arguments.
Let me jump right in there. Okay, so you're saying, look, let me just clarify my thinking. We're talking about a situation where it's necessary. You're talking about someone in Nunavut. Let's just assume it is necessary for the sake of this. If it were necessary for me, then I would think it's justified for me. So it's not inconsistent. That's the whole point. And if you can't spell out the factor, which if true of you would make the justification apply to you, then it's inconsistent. If you can, then it's not.
How can I throw in...
So look,
it
rape,
applies to me that I'm going to rape a girl.
Yeah, so you're an African child soldier. You're forced to rape your sister at gunpoint. That would be morally justified rape. Right?
Okay, but that's different than a cow.
Well, wait. I wasn't comparing that to a cow. We're just talking about rape right here. So you're saying, like, look, you don't understand context. Like, you're saying, like, there you go, talking about the Nunavut hunter, and you say, oh, it's justified in that situation because context. It's like, yeah, because I can point to a factor present in that context, which, if present in my context, would justify it. So it's not an inconsistent double standard. With rape, it's like, okay, I oppose rape. If I'll say rape is justified in some context, like the child soldier who's forced to rape his sister, if that were true of me, then it would be ethical for me to rape also.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you have to.
You have no choice.
All right.
Well, you have a choice not
but
to.
So a justification, though, like they have lower intelligence. Well, if that were true of me, I fucking sure as fuck would not accept that.
That
is a double standard. Yeah.
So you're saying what? Like if you were to rape what?
Well, I'm saying that the justification you use for saying it's okay to kill an animal in one context but not in another, it has to be a justification which, if true of your context, would justify it for you.
Okay, so then how is aliens coming here and fighting us in context with me then?
Well, I mean, you would reject that. You would try to fight back against the aliens. So in that context, you're rejecting intelligence as a justification for Holocaust. But then you say it's okay to, well, I don't know if you said this. Chris definitely did. But then you're saying it's okay to murder animals because intelligence. So the inconsistency is you're appealing to intelligence in both contexts.
Well, intelligence, species, eating humans is bad for you.
Okay. Well,
I like people and I empathize.
Yeah. So that's okay. We just need to go those one by one.
Yeah, so I'm just stacking.
We'll go them one by one.
It's not just because one reason. It's all the reasons stacked equals my thought process. And again, when I was a vegan, I was so against animals dying horrifically. But when my health started to dwindle and the convenience was horrific and terrible, that's where the stack started coming back on, where I was like, all right, well, I feel bad he's dying, but this is hard to do. My hair's falling out. I feel weak. I feel sick.
Yeah.
Therefore, you know what I mean?
Yep. Okay, well, yeah, so look, two of the ones that you offered there when you started stacking were species and health. Those also produce inconsistencies, right? So if a being of another species wanted to kill you because you're not of their species, you'd reject it, so it's not consistent. And if it were healthy to kill humans, you still wouldn't say it's okay, so health isn't consistent either.
Okay, but again, you
can keep stacking.
My answer
we'll see if you can find one that is.
Fine. My main point is I can empathize with humans.
And if you couldn't, is it okay to murder you?
Yes, if I couldn't.
Okay, so it's okay to establish. Let's just follow the conclusion of that. Are you okay with concentration camps for the retards?
No, of course not.
Okay, so that's inconsistent again. So you're saying
humans and animals are different.
Whoa! But you just said, okay, sorry. If you couldn't empathize, it is okay to kill you.
Yes.
Okay, so let's take retarded
Like a serial
people
killer or something.
Yeah, so certain autistic people can't empathize, right? So by that logic, you should support an Auschwitz for the autistics.
Of course not.
No, because they're human beings.
So
now they're human beings.
Well, there's
Hold on.
species. Yeah, that's
They're
species. we dealt with
human. They're still.
alien.
And if you're gonna say it's a social contract, yeah, that's because that's a social norm. The thing that separates us differently is that we treat. That's why we are human. We treat people with disabilities differently, whereas an animal,
it's a social contract.
Who doesn't have, call it whatever you want, that's just the way it is, man. We are different because we treat people with disabilities.
That's not true. That's
than,
not true.
Than an animal does.
That's absolutely
if
not
and
true.
it's born with a deficiency, they leave it behind.
That's
Yeah,
absolutely not true. No, all throughout history, people who were disabled were killed just because they were useless. This was especially true for the Spartans
I'm
in
talking
ancient.
about today.
No,
For the
okay,
Western,
well,
for the
no,
Western
look,
world,
in Nazi
the thing
Germany.
that separates us is that. Now, if you want to talk about the past, yeah, it's bad. They have rights now. That is the thing that separates us from the animals. Do you see that? Because
So, okay, so
that's not a
if an
separation.
alien-
In modern
yeah, so-
look, in modern times, in poor countries like China, like, just for a child being born a girl, they'll literally just abort it or throw it out in the trash. Like,
Yeah,
still
and
to this day.
abortion's a different topic.
yeah.
I was going to talk about the ones that are alive and they make it and they're good. The way we treat them is completely different. But I'm not going to treat them like a cow because they're not a cow and I don't eat humans. So I don't understand that. Sure, they have their intelligence is lower than the average functioning adult brain, but they are still a human being.
Yeah, so this is an appeal to collectivism, right? You're saying they're part of the human species. So if the alien species appealed to collectivism, if they said, okay, well, the humans are not aliens, they're not part of our collective, it's okay to just completely devalue them morally, you would reject that reasoning. So again, it's not consistent.
Okay, we're going to have to forget about aliens, man.
Yeah.
No, I don't think you do, because I think you guys
here?
can't answer that question.
Well, no, because this is honestly, this is the point where it's clear. I'm losing patience with this clearly, because if we're going to talk about reality and the way it is, you can call me on aliens, whatever nonsense, and I already submit to aliens. But if we're going to talk about people with disabilities and lower intelligence, because I'd fight, but I'm going to die anyway.
So you wouldn't.
I'm still going to die.
Yeah, but you wouldn't
die.
Yeah, but submit is the wrong word. You wouldn't submit to the aliens.
Whatever word you want to call it. I'm going to get eaten. I'm going to get killed.
You get holocausted by the aliens.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to get owned. Whatever your word you want to use. That sucks for me. Too bad. That's the order of things. These guys are fucking smart because they got teleportation and shit. Okay? So let's remove aliens for a second and let's just talk about normal functioning humans, and as you said, people with disabilities. I don't fucking eat people with disabilities because they're human beings, and I treat them differently because I have a higher functioning. And if you can't see that difference, the way I treat someone, they could have the intelligence level of a cow, okay? But I'm still not going to do that because of that hierarchical order.
Because they're humans.
And the way our brains work, the way we are wired to have that higher functioning.
Okay, Chris.
Because they're humans, right?
Okay, Chris. Without talking about aliens, you're talking about a social contract. All throughout history, different societies have had different social contracts. It's just that here in Western civilization, we treat retards as if they were humans with equal rights. Back in Nazi Germany, they used to kill people who were disabled. The Spartans used to kill children who were weak or sickly or too small. Like, you can't claim that a social contract is inherently moral when we've had different social contracts all throughout history. Like, we've had social contracts where it's okay to keep slaves. So are you saying slavery is justified?
But hold on. No, okay, but no. Now I feel like you're pulling the whole slavery thing. You can go back to history or whatever. You can look at anything in history and say.
So then you agree that a social contract is not ethical.
I'm talking about the way we treat them now, because you can go back.
So then you agree that a social contract isn't a moral justification.
This is the thing you're saying. I feel like you're pulling an SJW here. No offense or anything. But you're saying history, slavery. You're going back to they used to kill them like that. Do I agree and I can't empathize?
No. That's not. You're misunderstanding what I'm saying. I'm just pointing out that social contracts are not a moral justification. They're merely social. They're just merely social contracts.
So
you agree with that,
so-
Chris? Let's just get if you agree with that point. Do you think that a social contract per se justifies an action?
Okay, so I'm going to ask you to define social contract.
Something that the society agrees on, like where a society agrees it's okay to stone women. Is it okay to stone women because society agrees?
No.
Okay, so you can't appeal to that without creating a double standard. Next.
Stoning women is completely different.
No, okay, guys, you really need to stop this, okay? Because what you're saying social contract is the justification. You can't say, oh, well, social contract is sometimes a justification and sometimes not. That is inconsistent.
Then. So you're fine with a social contract of slaves working today?
That's not what we're saying.
No, you are. No, hang on. I'm saying the social construct that's happened right now, why you buy your phone, why you buy your TVs, why you do all that stuff, is because the social construct says it is completely fine to buy merchandise made by 7-year-old Asians, right? That's a social construct. Why do you do it when you can be a farmer and not do that?
Because, no, that's completely unreasonable. You're making a false analogy. That has nothing to do with the social contract.
How?
That has nothing to do with the social contract. That's just practicality. Not everyone can be a goddamn farmer. There's 7 billion people on planet Earth. Like, what are you talking about? We're a modern civilized species.
Let's go back because
But you're still accepting the social construct.
No,
there are slaves.
Andy, I know exactly what you're getting at. Look, I'm not saying that we face value reject all social contracts or that we face value accept them all. We don't. It's not like social contract is either good or bad by definition. But if you appeal to the social contract to justify something, then that is what you are saying.
Yeah, but again, that's just a slice of the stack that we were talking about.
Okay, so let's go through some more of the stack because you agree species is not a justification, right? Because you reject the alien Holocaust. So species alone doesn't do it, right?
No, I agree with the species thing.
Okay, so I mean, I don't know how to be any more clear. I mean,
if an alien look deep, like okay, you're saying if I'm a god and I'm looking at this shit.
No, I'm not. I'm saying if you're you. I'm saying if you're you. You don't accept intelligence for killing you. You use it to justify killing others.
Hold on, guys. Hold on.
Consistent.
Yes, it is consistent because I'm a human and I can empathize with my own species.
Hold on.
If you're saying species has nothing to do with our argument, that's ridiculous.
And that's the point, because I made my point about the way we treat people with disabilities and how we look at them. And then you're calling me out and saying, just to clarify, this is what I'm understanding here. You're clarifying that because I'll agree with this social construct.
And then I don't contract.
No, not agree with.
Sorry.
Yeah, keep fucking this up.
Sorry.
Huge difference. Not agree with. Appeal to.
Okay.
And by appealing, meaning that I agree
using
with
as justification.
People.
No, not agree. Using as justification for.
Yeah, yes, I'm appealing to this, the way we treat people with disabilities. I'm using that as the justification to say this is why I don't eat them, okay? And this is what I'm understanding then. So I'm agreeing to that. And then I'm going over here and saying this is the social contract for why I'm eating meat. And you're saying that's a double standard, correct?
No, okay, look, do you think that social construct per se justifies an action?
What action are we talking about?
Yeah, what action?
I'm not
That is like such a big misunderstanding, guys.
I am not going to answer.
Wait. You're saying in some context, no.
Like Chris answered your question.
Give me a second here, man. Give me a second here. It's heated. I want to try and keep this level-headed, honestly, because I'm trying to understand your point, and obviously I'm still failing here. So I'm trying to understand. You're talking about social contracts.
Can I try to?
When you talk about one thing, and then we'll agree to it, and then we flip over here, I feel that you're forgetting about context, and I will not
Okay.
continue to answer if you just throw me and say rape and stuff and not allow other contextual factors to come in. If you could say, yeah, I'm disagreeing with the social contract in this aspect, and that's a fallacy, fine, but when you throw in the rape and everything, there's a whole lot of context, and I don't feel that stands any grounds.
Chris, it's not a fallacy to disagree or agree with the social contract. It's a fallacy to appeal to the social contract per se to justify something if you reject it in other contexts. So do you think saying social contract, though, justifies anything? Clearly you don't, because you're saying, well, what are we talking about? So you can't appeal to the contract itself.
But then you're dealing in absolutes. Because
No, I'm not.
No,
you are.
Yes, you are. You're dealing in absolutes because guess what? The world is a shade of gray, and there's different people, and there's all different kinds of people across the spectrum.
Okay,
If you were
Chris.
trying to
Can I try to explain this?
pin me to one
Let him
thing
talk.
and say yes and no, I think that's very,
Let,
very
Richard talk.
wrong.
Okay, Chris,
Let it
I think I understand the confusion you're having here. So you're saying it's wrong to kill and eat someone who's like mentally retarded because you have a social contract with other people where that would be immoral. Like that's just wrong.
Due to the higher functioning of the way we treat them. Yes.
Okay, so you're saying, so are you trying to say that because of the social contract we have, it is therefore immoral to kill a retard?
Yes.
Yes.
Or is it just immoral outside of the social contract?
What, okay, but that's my point. Why did this?
Okay, let me
Where's
just
the
explain
social
more.
contract thing outside? Why am I going to go outside of it?
No,
Because
wait,
if I'm going outside of it, then that discludes the higher intelligence point. Why would I go outside?
Wait, Chris. So you're saying because of the social contract we have with other people, it is wrong to kill mentally disabled people or just disabled people in general,
because
right?
of our higher functioning as a species, it's wrong, and that's the way.
Wait, Chris. When you shift to that point of the species, you're kind of acknowledging Richard's point implicitly. I mean, clearly you don't think that just the fact that something is part of the social contract or not tells you whether it's ethical.
That's the point.
We don't eat retards because we're not cannibals.
No, guys, you're going all over the place.
Also, may I ask one thing? Why do you guys keep trying to move away from my comparison between child slavery and like that's not?
Okay,
oh,
let's
we're
talk
talking
about child slavery. No,
Yeah, let's just deal with that if that's what you want.
Not fine. It's not fine for me, or it's fine for you to bring up rape this and then aliens and this and that, and then I bring up a real thing that's happening. No. I don't want to talk about that.
Okay, let's talk about child
I
slavery.
don't think anyone's against talking about it.
Let's put this in the context of child slavery. So, are you saying that because in modern times we have social contracts that makes child slavery unethical, or sorry, let me word that differently. So, because we have social contracts in modern society that says we shouldn't have child slavery, does that make it unethical, the social contract?
The social contract, I mean, it doesn't.
No, because we have the social contract, does that make child slavery unethical?
We're trying to get an admission that the social contract per se doesn't justify or reject anything.
I see what you're saying. I follow what you're saying now.
Okay, and if you acknowledge that that is not part of your stack anymore, we're just dealing with that one aspect right now.
Okay, fine, fair enough.
No, okay, so you guys are done with the social contract argument.
But again, there is.
I don't think Chris understands.
No,
I don't think Chris
still
understands.
not. Unfortunately, still not understanding.
Let's just talk about the child slavery thing. So, Chris,
Okay, sure, yes, please.
because of the social contract we have in modern society, does that make child slavery unethical?
Yes.
Okay, so if we were to go back, say 1,000 years, biblical times, we had the social contract that child slavery was fine. Would it make it ethical in that situation? Because the social contract says it's fine.
In context to today and how I think and how I've been learning the world, no. In that time, yes.
You're saying child slavery was justified, say, 1,000 years ago when Prophet Muhammad lived and he was keeping 9-year-old sex slaves?
100% no, because I'm not a fucking psychopath retard.
Right, so then it has nothing to do with the social contract.
Yeah, and I mean, you guys still have a hefty stack that we can make our way through. But look, if you're going to say that social contract, it justifies some things, it doesn't justify others, which is the position
So
that
you're
I would
fine
assume
then.
all four of us hold, right?
All right, so
don't
if-
we all agree that sometimes the social
wait, so
contract
if
is
you
right,
don't
sometimes
believe-
wrong?
If you don't believe in the social construct being an argument, then again, why do you buy products that were made by slaves?
Well, look, this is a much more complicated situation than what you're making it out to be. Like, it's very difficult to determine where everything you own has come from. There's so many different components, so many different minerals, so many different supply chains. It's
Well, now you're
absolute
talking context
no.
Now we hear you talking
Let me
context.
let me finish. There's so many different supply chains. It's impossible for any person to know really what they're buying, what went into making these products. With animal products, you know, suffering and death had to go into making that product.
Absolutely.
So you're saying ignorance is fine then? Ignorance is
No,
fine.
I'm not.
for suffering.
Well, no, I'm not saying ignorance is fine. I'm just saying what you're suggesting is completely unreasonable. Like, you're saying, so it's fine for you to support slavery by buying a monitor, which I need for my work, like, to live?
And guys, look, I am very happy to get right into the child slavery thing. The only reason there's any resistance here is I just want to get the social contract point dealt with. It seemed like Andy acknowledged it for a second. I mean, look, all four of us surely agree. Sometimes the social contract is right, sometimes it's wrong.
Yes, 100%. Yes, that's
Okay,
100%.
so therefore you can't appeal to the social contract per se, meaning
Fair.
in of itself to justify something.
All right,
Correct?
fair enough. However, in the
Okay.
context
Chris,
of
do you
what
get
we're
that?
But in the context
Yes.
that
Okay, nice.
do.
wait,
I do.
wait,
And
but in the context of what we are talking about, aka meat.
Yes.
social
Yeah.
construct-
Oh,
the
totally.
social construct that we see, that it's fine.
So you're saying
guys. Yeah, sorry.
So you're trying to say that the social contract in this case is correct, but the issue that we have here is that,
sure.
like Chris in particular, I don't know if Andy did it, he was appealing to the social contract.
Yes.
That's an illogical argument. He was appealing to the social contract. He wasn't claiming that I believe the social contract in this situation happens to be correct. He was saying because of the social contract, therefore it is moral.
Exactly.
I think you may have misworded yourself, but that is, again, is part of the overall stack of things we're talking
Okay,
about.
wait, Andy. Look, you guys, you just got to get, like, this point alone does not debunk your position. It's not like if you acknowledge social contract isn't a justification for shit. You know, they rape women some places, that's part of the social contract. Acknowledging social contract doesn't justify something per se. That doesn't mean
Yes, you're right. You're right.
conceded
Yes,
the whole debate. But we need you to concede
agree
that
with
point.
you. I totally agree with you.
And
that,
it sounds like
yes.
Chris does too at this point. So we can probably
No,
move
that
on
was
to
the
another
closest I've
aspect of the stack.
that's a close of understanding. I think it's just, there was a miswording that I
Okay.
think what was happening. I don't know because
As long as we're on the same page now.
all I'm saying is just the end of the day, wherever this conversation goes and how we decide to end it, I'm still going to eat meat.
That's dogmatic. But
Yeah, exactly.
It's-
I'm still going
it's-
to eat meat, and I appreciate this having you guys here for this conversation.
Yeah, we really appreciate it.
But
we do too.
I'm still going to eat meat, and whether or not I understood that, I mean, everybody else will figure it out. But again, all I'm saying is I'm going to eat meat due to, and this is, correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm doing the same fucking thing again, because of the natural order of things. That's what you're
That's
getting
different.
into. That's the appeal.
So
And-
let's move on to natural. You go.
Yeah, one more question.
Wait.
Wait, one more question.
Sure.
It just leading out of the child slavery thing. You said that not everyone knows what was used to like make something when you can clearly research anything. Like you research what vitamins are in vegetables. You research what products you're going to buy, and you can research where they were made and what area they were made, and therefore know that there was human suffering involved. So if we're going to look at like a reflect on eating meat, we have to reflect on all this bullshit over here, and we've had to accept one of the most disgusting things that is happening like on our earth, which is, you know, the fucking suffering and death of children slaves. I mean, there's a lot of horrible shit in this world. I'm not saying that's the worst.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, I understand what you're trying to say here. I think you're missing you're forgetting like the actual definition of veganism. Like, reduce suffering and death as much as practically possible.
Sure.
So,
Yeah, we're both okay. Yeah.
So
Sorry.
is it practical and possible for your average person living in modern Western civilization to forego all cell phones, all computer monitors, not use any technology, just so that they don't support coltan mining in some shitty part of Africa where they use children that are far too young to work and they're being mistreated?
And also, little point there, if you want to talk like sweatshops or something in Indonesia, I don't know, there's lots of examples of this kind of shit. It's like,
Yes.
I'm not always convinced that boycotting is even the best thing to do. I mean, often you're talking about the best work that people in that area can find, and you're talking about a situation where even if you stop supporting that industry, they'd shift to another industry, which would be equally poorly regulated. You'd be talking about needing to boycott almost countries.
Sure. Okay, I want to respond to Richard's question.
Yeah.
Why can't you live without a TV and cell phone?
Because I'm living in modern Western civilization where you absolutely need that to be able to work. Like, in this day and age, you
Then why don't
need
you,
that for a job.
If you care about suffering and death so much, why don't you move? Like, it might not take, like, it might not be a week of doing this, but you might have to spend a few years, save a bunch of money, you know, have a small shed up north and live off the land. Why don't you just start working towards stopping the suffering?
Well, again, I don't think that would be in the interest of overall good. Like,
why not?
Well, like with this YouTube channel, I'm convincing so many people to go vegan, think about animal ethics. Like, okay, so I'm just supposed to forego all of that and move out to the woods?
And if we consider it on the large scale, you're talking about abandoning civilization, which surely would lead to, you know, not reaching the higher levels of well-being we could eventually reach. And the other thing...
well, that's pretty selfish, don't you think?
No.
Well, no, and I think you...
So you're fine? So you're fine. Hang on. So you're appealing to the social contract because you like being a YouTuber.
No.
That's selfish.
Whoa, 1 sec. His views are in line with the social contract, but he's not saying because of the social contract it's ethical. He's deploying separate argumentation.
So you're saying because it'd be difficult and you'd rather be using a lot of equipment.
Well, no, that's not
you're
what I said
okay
at
with
all.
suffering.
Well, no, that's not what I said at all.
Wait, hang on. Because you want to stay where you are and live where you are and do what you want, which I believe you can do whatever you want, you're fine with the suffering and death of human beings.
No, that's not what I said at all. I said it's not in the best interest of myself and just the world in general. I think I'd have a much more positive impact doing what I'm doing right here than trying to move out into the woods and like live off the land and just forego civilization.
That would be the almost ultimate thing, because in order to reduce by the vegan standard, then that is war reduction.
No. As much as practical and possible, like that's not practical or possible. You're talking about vegans wanting civilization to be be completely destroyed. That we don't want the fall of civilization.
To be clear, there are vegans who want that. They call themselves anarcho-primitivist vegans. But I just want to say one thing here. Look, what you guys are saying is effectively there's always a higher ethical standard possible. So if you're not aiming for that, how could you criticize others for being less ethical than you, right?
Mm-hmm, yes.
Yeah. So there's the problem with that is that there is a categorical separation between directly murdering something and doing it by accident. So unless you think, for example, that driving should come with a murder charge because millions of people die every year from cars, sorry, voice cracked, cars, then it's okay. Yeah, I mean, if you're acknowledging a categorical separation between directly murdering someone and driving a car, which ends up killing a certain amount of people per year, then you can't reject that categorical separation in the animal context. So, like, for example, Richard and I, we know that we're going to kill a certain amount of animals every year. We're totally fine with a bunch of animals getting murked by cars. We get that. What we're talking about is unnecessary suffering that you are causing directly.
And you can do that by driving up north, fucking dumping your car in a ditch, and then building a house out of fucking whatever.
But
and now you've stopped the suffering and death of human beings.
Do you think driving should come with a murder charge?
No, and I'm not. That's my point. Is I'm saying we shouldn't judge people on the death of other things on this earth. We shouldn't judge someone. I'm not saying.
Okay, so I can just kill whoever I want and kill anything I want, and you shouldn't be able to judge me. You're not
Except for human.
Like you're not separating the difference between unintentionally causing harm and death and intentionally causing harm and death.
Okay, no, fine. Okay, fine. No, you're right about that. Sorry, I jumped way too far into that. But again, my point still stands. Where if you really wanted to stop the suffering and death of absolutely everything, you
then I'd
wouldn't
try and kill everything.
So how would you feel about the argument
what?
that you?
I think you just misheard me. I think you misheard what I said.
Well, do you want to repeat yourself? I've got something to say after.
No, it's fine. Go ahead.
How would you respond to the argument that you can't criticize Jeffrey Dahmer for murdering someone because, I mean, you're not doing everything you can? Why aren't you living in a grass hut in the forest?
Okay, well, because I don't want to and I don't care about the suffering. I care about it, but it sucks that I'm doing it. So yes, so I'm a piece of shit. How do you guys then? Okay, I want to just bundle up a bunch of the arguments. How can you conflate all your examples with aliens, rape, and the Holocaust, but the moment I bring up the suggestion that we can stop suffering by driving up north, you threw that away?
Because that's completely unreasonable. You're saying we should abandon civilization completely.
And aliens attacking us is reasonable? Raping a girl is reasonable?
This is completely different. We're trying to make an analogy that proves you're being logically inconsistent. And
but your analogy, hold on, but the analogies that have been made so far, honestly, have absolutely been ridiculous. And that's the thing I don't understand.
Calling something ridiculous isn't an argument, though.
What you've done successfully is to take these ridiculous analogies and apply to us, and we've talked them through. And when we throw something back at you, and you deflect it and go, "Oh, it's different. It doesn't matter. That's separate." Well, how is that separate, though?
No one's
we're giving a reason for why it's unreasonable, what you're saying.
Okay, so then why was it unreasonable exactly?
Well, because you're saying...
Why is bringing aliens in fine,
listen.
but driving up north
You're telling everyone to completely abandon... You're saying everyone should completely abandon civilization to minimize suffering entirely. Just you. I'm not the one saying that. Oh, just me?
No, you to abandon
I'm saying if you care so much, you care so much about suffering,
for you to abandon it and go up and do that. Because that's the same. Because
then again, why is that in the interest?
I would have to stop everything myself based on that. I'd have to stop everything myself in order to better the world for whatever reasons. And then we're asking you that, and then you're saying, no, it's different. I'm not going to do that.
Because it's not in the interest of the overall good.
Yeah, I think
we already explained that.
We need to talk about the legitimacy of hypotheticals in demonstrating someone's inconsistent. So, look, if you say that you're a pacifist, for example,
hypotheticals
I don't need to.
Hypotheticals only go so far, man.
Wait, Chris. If someone says
world shit, hypotheticals only go so far, and I will be able to destroy you if I come up with a bunch of hypothetical things too. When we're talking about actual killing of the animals, you got me on the industry. I disagree with it, and that's something I will never argue you against, nor will I argue the nutrition. The thing that you get me on, and this is probably where I'm gonna have to wrap up soon, is you guys got me on the killing of the animals and the murdering. I'm against that, but I'll still do it. And I think that's
well, it's just
that's
because
all
you don't
I can
care,
say
really.
at this point.
Yeah,
exactly.
I mean,
no, you're correct.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna hide from that, Richard. You are correct. Okay. I don't care. It doesn't bother me to eat a fish and just kill it and eat it because I've separated myself from that.
I think
all the hypotheticals you want. But.
Also, I just want to finish this point. Look, the legitimacy of hypotheticals in demonstrating someone's inconsistent, right? So if you were to say, I'm a pacifist, I don't support violence in any context, we don't need to pay some guy to go fucking mug you and see if you defend yourself to determine if you're actually a pacifist. I mean, we can expose it with a hypothetical. If someone's going to rape your mom, are you really not going to do anything to stop them? If you say yes, then maybe you really are a pacifist. But if you say no, I'd fuck that person up, then that hypothetical exposes that you are not a pacifist.
So then, how does that hypothetical about
The aliens?
No, the hypothetical of that I brought up about if you care about suffering so much, then why can't you move to a place where no resources are made by slaves?
Well,
like,
I can.
Why is that hypothetical? And just you, not civilization,
Right.
Like, why is this not? Does that not work for you?
Well, I already gave the explanation. It's because it's not in the interest of the overall good.
Oh yeah, okay. No, let's say then someone who doesn't make YouTube videos but has the exact same mentality as you. Why aren't they stopping and heading up friggin' north?
So you're saying if I wasn't a YouTuber and
if you didn't know that your message would spread to so many people, therefore helping more. So I understand why you're doing it. I'm not trying to say that you're doing a bad thing. But what I'm saying is, to someone who has your same mentality and viewpoints on this subject, if why aren't they doing it? Why are they okay with the cell phone in the car and everything when they can stop suffering of everything?
the suffering they're causing in particular.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Well, I still don't think that would be in the interest of the overall good. Like, you know, people have an impact on everyone around them. Like, why would moving out in the middle of nowhere, like, that wouldn't really solve much? Like, we can all make a difference. Even if you're not a YouTuber, you can talk to people about veganism, how to reduce the suffering and death they're causing. Like, abandoning civilization completely isn't going to be in the interest of overall good. And like, especially wait a second, like, especially with veganism, our goal is to get more people to go vegan. So like, the end goal is the entire earth goes vegan. Like, it might take a very long time.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that, because I like what you said.
Let me just finish my thought. It'll only take 30
you guys
more
are trying
seconds.
to grill us on being inconsistent here, so let's finish.
No,
this.
Sure.
Let me just finish this thought. If you're saying like we should move out into the middle of nowhere and live off nature entirely, like, the end goal should be everyone does that. Well, how is that going to be in the interest of the overall good? If everyone's living off the land, okay, well, we're going to move back to a tribal society. People are going to have to kill animals. Like, this doesn't. That's not in the interest of the overall good.
I'm not saying everyone. I'm saying
and I explained why it's
for
unreasonable.
example,
Saying people who claim to be ethical. He's saying if you claim to be ethical, why don't you follow it to its logical conclusion, which is living in the forest?
Well, I'll give you an example of a vegan revolution who takes it, like, honestly way too far, in my opinion. That guy, for example, when I was a vegan, I think I was talking about possibly eating something that might have, you know, a little bit of milk powder in it, because I was just dying and starving, and where I was, I had no food. I got destroyed by vegans. Say, you're a rapist, you like murder, you're this, you're that, because I had a fucking cracker that had fucking milk product on it. This is the kind of mentality that people like us, like the all or nothing thing.
Okay,
I
well,
can't handle this bullshit.
I'm not going to call you a rapist because you ate a cracker with a bit of milk powder in it, but
I was called a rapist by hundreds of people.
not him.
Like, I mean,
Idiot.
I know.
Other people.
like, I mean, okay, I think I kind of understand more where you're coming from now, but the thing is, you're not dealing with, like, two people here that are completely unreasonable.
Yes.
No, 100%.
That is
Yeah,
And
so-
the whole thing is, sorry, go ahead.
Just, I don't understand what point you're trying to make by grilling us about why don't you just go out in the middle of the wilderness and live in a mud
what I'm
hut?
saying is the hypotheticals that you gave us were pretty absurd in the sense of aliens attacking. I know you're trying to, like, find moral. Yeah, real fast. The morality aspect on that, right? But my point, my hypothetical, though it's ridiculous, why don't you, if it stops suffering? Because obviously you hate the suffering and death of species, of anything on the earth, and I honestly really respect that. And I'm not saying go to the middle of the woods. What I'm saying is, if you're going to judge our morality based on convenience, then you have to look in the mirror and look at your own morality when you're fine with the suffering and death of slaves.
So do you think we could do more good for the world by moving into the forest?
I mean, to stop slavery, all of us, yes. If everyone stopped buying TVs and shit, yeah.
Well, there was slavery back when, like in biblical times, before they had television. So
I think also, you guys, you have to acknowledge I mean, the whole thing is, like, I don't mind getting into a conversation of what products we should and shouldn't support, and like what kind of life is the ethical life. But you're treating it like, to criticize the Holocaust, the animal Holocaust, to be clear, that you have to move out into the forest. But you wouldn't say that someone needs to move in the forest to, for example, criticize Jeffrey Dahmer, right? So there's a categorical separation between directly causing suffering and...
All right, perfect. So what you're saying is that no one lives by absolute moral standards.
No.
Oh, I'm not even convinced that it's more ethical to live in the forest. I mean, I think I can do far more good here.
In the overall, like, we have to have computers, as you're saying, because it makes life more convenient, and I understand that, and driving and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's
So
necessary.
what you're saying is not every person lives by moral, ethical standards.
No.
You have to bend the rules sometimes. I know you're saying eating meat, you don't have to eat meat.
No, I would deny that living in the forest is actually the ethical ultimate goal. I mean, I
for
think
slaves.
Well, I mean, you're just saying for one person, but for the overall well-being of the human species, continuing to progress civilization, participate in the economy, buy the things that are necessary in order to progress society and make your contribution, I think that you can make a better contribution for the good in that way than by just going out and isolating yourself.
True.
Yeah. And if I may segue that
nice point.
into what Richard has started saying, the overall good. I kind of want to see if we can wrap up on that kind of topic here.
Overall good.
Because the vegan perspective is the overall good of not eating animals doesn't cause death and suffering to the animals. 100%. That does have an overall good in terms of the animals suffering. That's one thing I definitely want to give you guys that for. Do you probably not, because you guys aren't unreasonable, but do you guys look at other people as someone who's trying to spread that message? Do you guys look at, obviously that is the overall good. Do you guys look at other people as less, or I know it's kind of a bad way to frame it because it sets you up.
Do you look at us as immoral people?
Yeah, like I know you have meeting friends too, but I guess maybe I'm having trouble difficult.
Well, I mean, I think that, again, there's I would make another really categorical separation here between types of meat eaters. So someone who fully knows what they're supporting, they know that a cow is just getting stabbed to death. I mean, someone who really knows what's up and they support it, I would actually hold that person is evil. But the majority of meat eaters don't actually know what's happening or don't in any meaningful way think about it. So it would be pretty absurd to judge them.
Fair enough.
I hold that same basic view.
Because I would even say, guys, obviously I'd prefer the humane way of killing the animals, right?
Humane way of killing?
Well, like for eating meat. You're gonna have to give me that one next time, okay? I know. For the purpose of I want to eat the meat, it needs to go. Okay, you have to give me that. I like to think that happens. Does it happen? I'm probably going to be on the side of no, and I will agree with that. I will not disagree with that because they have the policies, but I know, and I had to even see it, that it's not being followed to a T with every single animal. So do I think there should be more controls? Yes, but that's where we would differ on, obviously, the opposite killing. And I'd give you that because I don't know what goes on in slaughterhouses.
I want to add just one thing to his thing. Do you look at yourself as morally superior than meat eaters?
Not on the whole. I mean, look, if you take a meat eater who's given billions to some kind of charity or something, it's like that person has objectively caused more good than me. But generally speaking, if you hold every other variable constant, someone who doesn't support the animal holocaust is more ethical than someone who does.
Okay, so basically, let's say you had a twin who did everything that you do,
except
minus eating meat.
Yes, they're less ethical.
Okay, cool. I see what you're saying. Because here's the one thing the one negative aspect. And by the way, VeganGains, your channel is awesome, and I actually do like it. And a lot of people were at replying me, he's horrible. I'm like, it's entertainment. I know he's exaggerating. You said it on Bearing Stream. You wouldn't actually murder people. You're angry about it, but you wouldn't murder people. And I think you're fucking funny. And I don't agree with a lot of the shit you say, but I still like watch and laugh and go like, geez, he's ridiculous. But in a funny way, right? And I also, again, I did not eat meat for a while. Therefore, I understand what you're doing, and you're doing it to, outrageousness like goes viral. Therefore, more people are willing to see you. Therefore, you're spreading the message faster.
Yeah.
So like, I'll defend you on that like part for sure. I'm sorry. Go ahead. What are you gonna say?
Well, I think that probably the strongest angle you guys have come in from is trying to expose some kind of hypocrisy. So I just want to kind of try to hammer on that, because like, look, we can talk about the others. I'm pretty sure that, intelligence, species, these things, it's just not going to work. They create double standards. If you want to talk about hypocrisy, unless you can spell out some kind of difference between humans and animals, which, if true of humans, would make it okay to basically just support human murder unless you're willing to go and live in the forest, then it's a double standard to apply that kind of reasoning to animals.
Yeah, well...
Yeah.
Well...
Right?
Well, hang on. I was not finished my point about his channel. Hang on, I was not finished my point about his channel. You interrupted me.
Sorry, go on.
So I like all that stuff. I think you're entertaining, blah, blah, blah. Don't you think, though, that making videos on Furious Pete having cancer and laughing about it, filming your grandpa dying and then posting it, and doing a lot of really horrible things puts a bad light on you, therefore fucking up your entire message? I think you're funny, but like, there's some things you've done that I would look at as like, yo, man, you're losing people here. You're losing people.
Because believe it or not, I would be like, because of the theoretical side, humans could be all vegan. I champion you on that, because you guys are trying to do something that honestly I couldn't do.
Yeah.
I don't buy that you couldn't. For the record, you could go vegan if you want to.
Thank you very much, man. I appreciate that. But my
you have to be like mentally retarded or something, so I'm sure you can manage.
I have a little bit. Let's be honest.
but
like
level point though.
Yeah, I think what he's saying is just like the way you guys present yourself. I guess that's probably what Roman was trying to get to. We want you guys to present yourself as best as possible, because if you can convince some other people to join it and do it, that is the transition, correct?
Like if you were like funny and outrageous, but then you took away the, hey, Repsion, I'm gonna slit his throat. Hey, I just filmed my grandpa dying. I don't care. I want to show like if you took out the like. It's almost like a Keemstar type effect. Sometimes he's interesting and funny, and then he does things that you're like, I wanted to like you. I wanted to like you. You know what I mean, man?
Right, well...
And I think if you had just focused on comedy and being outrageous, and then removed all the fucking extra horrendous shit, like laughing at someone having cancer, I think your message would spread way more quick.
Well, the thing is... like, I'm not a perfect person, and you know what, I'm not going to pretend to be someone else. Like, you know what, I fucking hate Furious Pete. Not just because he eats meat, like because he put a copyright claim on my video. Like, I just take that sort of thing
Fair enough.
really fucking personally.
I feel you on that.
That's also why I allegedly threatened Repsion, like, on a Twitch stream and shit too. But, you know, like, whatever. I'm not a perfect person. Like, that's all I really have to say, and I'm not gonna just
in the words of Hoobastank.
Yeah, like, I'm not gonna pretend to be like this perfect fucking human being. Like, yeah, I fuck up and say some crazy shit sometimes.
See, and that's the one thing why I was kind of like wondering how this would go, because I'm like, you know, he's made me laugh and he's been outrageous sometimes, and then sometimes I'm like, I fucking hate him right now. What does he do? Like I'll have to I think you're like the most channel I've ever subscribed and unsubscribed to.
Yeah.
That's a compliment.
It's like,
strangely enough.
It's like one day I'm like, all right, you know what, that was all right, and then one day I'm like, all right, he just threatened to murder my friend. That's pretty fucked up. I'm not gonna, you know what I mean? And I think the thing that a lot of people like talk to us about, especially before this stream, like throughout the week that we had it planned, was they were asking like, do you believe you're better than other people? People have the perception that you're better, and that's why when they watch your videos, they're sort of like, you know what? I don't even want to like listen to him because he's acting all like he's the best thing ever. He's done all these horrible X, Y, and Z, whatever you did. Like, don't you? And you just admitted that you aren't a perfect person, and I appreciate that. But like, do you look at us as terrible people for what we have said today?
Like, it does affect my perception of you, like, especially Chris. It's like, I wouldn't consider you, like, I wouldn't consider you a good person, Chris, like, in general, just because of what you said.
Yes.
It's not like I can't hang out with you and have a friendly conversation or anything, but, like, you know, I wouldn't consider you a good person.
Thank you, Richard. I honestly, I knew that it was going to be a agree to disagree situation.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Well,
Also, people in the chat are like, "Oh, now you're sucking his cock on the." I don't hate him because he's vegan. Because I would be pissed if he hated me because I wasn't.
Yes.
You dumb motherfuckers in the chat. You can be friends or friendly with someone who you disagree with. You retards.
Yes.
Oh, I hate the chat.
And Richard, I appreciate you saying that to my face. I honestly do, because I don't know, and this extends outside of veganism. I don't like. I'm not religious, but does it mean I'm not going to respect my friend who is religious, whatever religious they believe? No.
I do judge them, though. I do judge them.
We all judge each other.
Yes, you're gonna naturally judge someone, and that's just how it is. And I accept that because I am an emitter. So in your eyes, I'm not gonna be the best person. And obviously, if I were to try and go, oh well, now I'm not validating your beliefs and your experiences, and that's a point I wanted to make, because I kind of knew that's where it was going to go. But man, I appreciate you saying that, honestly.
Guys, I think that, I mean, if we're talking about closing up soon, I think it would be worthwhile to just kind of go through the justifications almost that you guys think are working here. So just to sum up, I mean, I've heard you guys, you've said intelligence, you've said species, you've said vegans aren't doing everything they can to reduce suffering. Are there any other vital ones in there?
I'm just trying to think.
Honestly, man, it's been a long 2 hours.
It's been
a good 2 hours.
I think you'd add, and I don't really care that much. Right?
Yeah.
I care.
I think I would add that, and you can call me on whatever you want.
I care.
All right, so we've got species, intelligence. You guys are hypocrites, and I don't care. So I mean, I would just sum up. I mean, I'm going to be repeating myself, but you know, you wouldn't accept another species kill. Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't accept another. Okay, well, they're not false equivalences. I mean, you wouldn't accept another species killing you. You can't appeal to species. You wouldn't accept being killed based on intelligence. You can't appeal to intelligence. You wouldn't accept that someone doesn't live a perfect life as justification for doing, you know, rape or murder or anything. So you can't really appeal to the fact that someone's not ethically perfect. And just for the record, the assumption that living in the forest is the ethical ideal is, I think, very wrong, and we could get into that.
For you.
Okay. Well,
you care about suffering so much.
I'm just summing up my. Well, yeah, you're saying if we care about ethics to be consistent, we have to live in the forest. You don't, so you wouldn't have to do that. I get you. And then the other one you said is I just don't care. And again, someone saying, you know, I just don't care about rape or I just don't care about murder. You wouldn't accept the justification. So in my view, so you guys can go on about how false analogies and whatever, but in my view, as far as I can possibly see, none of the justifications that you've presented are justifications that you would actually accept if applied to yourself. So I'm not seeing a consistent ethical reasoning here for doing this.
So let's go over what you've done. You've brought up aliens. You've talked about raping. Is the equivalent of eating? Hang on 1 second. And you put the equivalence of raping and eating meat on the same level. Eating retards is the same thing, essentially. You've also said that suffering is fine if you want your proper job and everything, and sometimes we have to just accept it. And you have also said or implied that species doesn't matter because reasons.
Well, no, I mean, I've said you can't appeal to species. If you wouldn't accept someone else appealing to species to kill you, you can't do it to kill someone else. If you wouldn't accept someone else saying, well, you don't live a perfect life, so it's okay for me to just do what I want, then you can't drop that. If you wouldn't accept intelligence, you can't deploy intelligence. It's just the whole pattern. I mean, you can sigh, you can ridicule, you can do all that. But
No,
the basic
I'm not.
pattern,
No, I'm not judging. By the way, I'm not ridiculing. I'm just trying to see.
You realize in like a first year like philosophy course, it wouldn't be at all ridiculous to mention any kind of hypothetical like this.
Okay.
Hypothetical analogies
Sorry,
only
Andy,
demonstrate that
Isaac,
you feel differently
Andy,
about different
Andy,
instances.
Isaac, I was hesitant to do a summary because I did not want to bring up the conversation because now we're going to get back into it. We got to wrap it up, guys. So that's why I was hesitant to do that.
I'm happy with my wrap up.
Yes. So honestly, good. But I want to say thank you guys so much for having the balls, and as well as you and me
Having the balls?
to fucking
He
come.
would
I
debate
said
Hitler.
us four to come and do this because
Relax, got your tense.
yes,
Come on.
because I'm trying to
Loosen
wrap
up.
this shit up in a nicer goddamn way.
Why do we have to end nice? Hey, man, suck.
No, it's just
both
in
our
a pleasant
dicks.
way.
Who gives a shit?
Jesus,
You know
fuck.
I
what?
hope you
Let's
fucks both get holocausted by aliens.
Yeah, I
You
will.
know what, guys? Thank you so much. I will be putting because this was a third stream. I didn't
Fuck
put
you,
your links.
Andy.
I didn't put your links on
God damn
You're
it.
too tense, Chris. Come on, man. Chill the fuck out. We're good.
Trying to
We're
fucking
good.
be nice.
No one's
So
gonna rape
in
you.
Yeah.
What if I?
Please, I want to be raped. That would be fun.
What if I?
That would be logically consistent.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
all right.
we win.
All right,
We
man.
won that debate. No, I'm just
Move up
kidding.
for you.
So everyone, I'm gonna put their links in the description bar. Go sub to them and check them out. And guys, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Yes.
All right.
Good talking to both of you, and I am happy to do it again at any point.
Yeah, and I'm sorry it didn't end up for the audience. It didn't end up in us being like a fucking piece of garbage. Like we're trying to be as
Yeah.
civil as
Screw
possible.
you guys. We managed to get through this very civilly. So awesome.
I'm
Thanks.
sure Richard's still angry at not
Probably
caring
me,
about
yeah.
eating meat, but you know,
Sorry, buddy.
sometimes that's
I'll
what
just
happens.
slit your throats later.
Okay,
No, there, I have evidence he tried to murder me.
do it gently. Do it
Everyone,
gently.
thanks for watching.
All right, bye guys.
Peace.
All right. Thanks, Richard, man.
Guys, fuck.
No problem.
Honestly, you guys pushed our buttons, loved it. You guys pushed us to certain
Fantastic.
points that we've actually never gone to. This was the most people we had watching on our show ever.
Yeah.
So honestly, guys,
was
I know we have
excellent.
disagreeing opinions, but fuck, man, it was actually enjoyable, despite maybe the headache I might have caused you guys.
Yeah, at the end, I'm like, Chris, like, you're fucking ridiculous. I'm like, just say bye, you fucking
But, yeah.
Jesus.
Thanks for coming on the show, guys.
Yeah.
And by the way, we have a friend who met you. Like, we live in the same city, but in Toronto, Mississauga, actually. But we have like a friend who met you like fucking last year or some shit.
Oh, okay.
It was a friend of a friend, so we're in the same neighborhood. Just saying that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, man.
Shit.
Keep doing the Lord's work, man.
Yeah.
For sure.
All right, peace, bud.
Cheers, guys.
Later, man.
See ya. All right, that's it for the debate, everyone. Thank you to everyone who donated in the super chat. Seriously appreciate it. And sorry, like I couldn't mention your names during the debate. Like, obviously it's a live discussion and everything. But the full debate will be up on my channel just in a little bit. And as always, keep making those vegan gains. I gotta get out of OBS.